Yo, Atlas speaking and welcome to a brand new series on the channel. What if I was reincarnated into my hero as Izuku Midoriya with the ultimate gamer system? Synopsis: transmigrated into the scrawny, quirkless body of young Izuku Midoriya, our MC doesn't waste time crying about fate or moping in dark corners. No, he's got something far more powerful than a quirk to guide him. His mom said he was amazing. And he'll be damned if he lets her be wrong. Facing the brutal, unrelenting chaos of the MHA world, this new Izuku dives headfirst into destiny, determined to become the most legendary man who ever lived. Whether that means cracking villains' skulls, throwing out sailor-grade profanity mid-battle, or grinning like a madman while tanking punches from muscle freaks, he's so ready. Bring it on, you bastards, he shouts, standing bloody but proud at the USJ battlefield, his heartbeat thundering louder than villain screams. As shadows close in, he rises, stronger every day. His heroic spirit burns brighter than ever before, one that rivals All Might himself. One for all 80%. Galaxy Impact. Make sure to check out the author linked in the description. With that being said, let the tale begin. Chapter 1. Shashidto Psycho, Awakening. The morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, warming the room with its golden hue. Izuku Midoriya, or rather, the man who now occupied his body, woke with a start. His eyes shot open, scanning the unfamiliar surroundings. Posters of All Might and other pro-heroes plastered the walls. A collection of action figures stood neatly arranged on a shelf, and a faint scent of lavender lingered in the air. "This isn't my room," he muttered, his voice rough and unrecognizable. He sat up, staring at his hands, small, soft, and completely alien to him. His pulse quickened. He swung his legs over the side of the bed, his bare feet brushing against the cool floor. What the hell is going on? Then it hit him. A flood of memories not his own crashed into his mind like a tsunami. Snapshots of a life filled with longing, ridicule, and a mother's quiet love flashed before his eyes. He clutched his head, groaning as the fragments carved their way into his consciousness. "Who am 17" he whispered, though he already knew the answer. The memories, the room, and this body all pointed to one undeniable truth. He was in the body of Izuku Midoriya, the boy from My Hero Academia. Just as he began to process this revelation, a translucent screen popped up in front of him. System alert. System activation complete. Welcome, host. Initializing beginner's package. What the? He muttered, waving a hand through the screen. It flickered slightly but didn't disappear. The words seemed almost mocking in their simplicity. He shook his head, dismissing it. "I'll deal with you later. This is too much." The system message blinked out, leaving him alone with his thoughts. He staggered to the mirror above the dresser and froze. The face staring back wasn't his freckled, wide-eyed boy with unruly green hair. "I really am him," he whispered. The realization was a sucker punch to his gut. He wasn't just in a new world, he was in the body of someone else. Someone with a destiny written in ink he could already read. A soft knock interrupted his spiraling thoughts. "Izuku? Are you awake?" called a gentle voice. The door opened, and in stepped a small, round-faced woman with kind green eyes. Izuku Midoriya. She smiled warmly, the same smile he'd seen countless times on a screen. "Good morning," she said softly. "Breakfast is ready. Come eat before it gets cold." For a moment, he was frozen. This was Izuku's mom, no, his mom now. He forced a smile, though it felt strange and foreign. "Okay, Mom." The kitchen was warm and cozy, the smell of miso soup and grilled fish filling the air. He sat at the table, trying to suppress his nerves as Inko bustled about, setting a plate in front of him. "So, Izuku," she began, her tone worried and kind. "Are you feeling okay? You seem like you haven't slept well last night. Any nightmares?" He hesitated, swallowing a bite of rice to buy time. "I'm fine," he said finally, forcing a smile. Inko sat down across from him, her expression soft but concerned. "I know things have been hard for you. But even if you don't become a hero, you can still be an amazing man." Her words struck a chord deep within him. She wasn't placing the weight of heroism on his shoulders, she just wanted him to grow into someone strong, someone good. "I'll try, Mom," he said, his voice steadier this time. She smiled, a mixture of pride and worry in her eyes. The walk to Aldera Junior High felt surreal. The streets were familiar, yet different. He recognized landmarks from the anime, but seeing them in person made the world feel more alive, more tangible. Izuku watched a giant villain was wreaking havoc and fighting with heroes. He saw as Mountain Lady wrestled with the villain after kicking him. She was pushed and the glant ass of Mountain Lady was descending on him. Izuku opened his hands with pure joy as the giant ass neared him, his face showing pure ecstasy. Only for Mountain Lady to get her bearings and balance herself. TCH. Izuku kept watching with interest as the villain lost to the heroes. He remembered his class though, so he left in hurried steps. Stepping into the classroom, he felt the weight of dozens of eyes on him. His memories guided him to his seat, but he couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Then, a voice cut through the chatter. "OL, Deku, quit staring." He turned to see Katsuki Bakugo standing by his desk, a cocky smirk plastered across his face. The sight of him lit a spark of annoyance in Izuku or whoever he was now. Bakugo didn't miss his change of expression. "What do you want, Bakugo?" he asked, his tone flat. Bakugo's smirk faltered, replaced by a look of surprise. "No Kaken? What did you just call me?" "Your name, 7. The classroom fell silent. Bakugo stalked over, his eyes narrowing. "You've got some nerve, talking to me in that tune, Deku." Izuku stood his ground, his hands clenched into fists. He wasn't the same timid boy Bakugo was used to bullying. "Back off," he said, his voice firm. Bakugo paused. He then snarled. "Or what?" He shoved Izuku hard. Years of pent-up frustration surged through Izuku, and without thinking, he stepped forward and threw a punch. His aim wasn't perfect, he only had knowledge of basic boxing training, not actual fighting, but it connected with Bakugo's jaw, sending the blonde stumbling back. The class erupted into gasps and whispers. Bakugo straightened, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You hit me?" Izuku met his glare with unwavering resolve and entered a boxing stance. "Yeah. And I'll do it again if you keep testing me." Bakugo's shock quickly turned to anger. His palms began to crackle with tiny explosions. "You're dead, Deku." Before the situation could escalate further, the teacher entered the room, breaking the tension. "Settle down, everyone. Get to your seats." Bakugo shot Izuku one last glare before retreating, his mind clearly racing with violence. After school, Izuku wandered the streets, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. He replayed the confrontation with Bakugo over and over, surprised by his own actions. Luckily he had managed to run off after the bell rang, following closely by the teacher. "I really hit him," he muttered. But his musings were cut short by a wet, sloshing sound. He turned and froze. It's here, the anticipated villain, Mook. All Might, all for one and everything else. He has the chance to take strength and reign over his fate, or live a peaceful depressing life, like hell. A massive sludge-like creature loomed before him, its grotesque form twisting and oozing. Izuku didn't run. "Hey, kid," it rasped, its voice like nails on a chalkboard. "I need a body. Yours will do nicely." Izuku's blood ran cold as the creature lunged at him. He barely managed to dodge, his heart pounding in his chest. What a terrifying aura. Think, he muttered, his mind racing. He remembered the system, the one he'd ignored earlier. Maybe it had something that could help him. "Open system," he shouted internally, hoping it would respond. But before anything could appear, a booming voice cut through the air, followed by a translucent blue screen. He dismissed it again with a thought, as he didn't want to miss this. "Never fear, for I am here." Izuku's eyes widened as All Might appeared in a flash, his towering figure blocking the sludge villain. With a single punch, All Might scattered the creature into pieces, scooping the remains into an empty soda bottle. "Job well done." All Might declared, his iconic smile beaming. He turned to Izuku. Are you hurt, young man? Izuku shook his head, still processing what had just happened. No, I'm okay. Thank you, All Might. All in a day's work. All Might said cheerfully, tucking the bottle into his pocket. Now, I must be off. Before Izuku could think, he grabbed onto All Might's leg as the hero leaped away. Wait, he shouted, air whooshing in his ears and tears falling from his eyes from the intensity of the speed. All Might looked down, startled. Young man, what are you doing? I need to talk to you. Izuku said, clinging tightly. All Might sighed, clearly exasperated. Fine, but hold on. With that, he maneuvered in the air, the city blurring beneath them. Izuku's grip tightened as the wind whipped past his face. For the first time since waking up in this strange new world, he felt a flicker of hope. His eyes burned with intense desire for more in life. First life was mundane, no wife, no children, bad job, death by 23 due to being mugged and stabbed. This time he'll experience everything. This was his chance to make a difference. And he wasn't going to let it slip through his fingers, and if someone wished to stop him, then they shall face his untamed wrath. Chapter 2. Rising Hero Aura activates. Izuku sat on his knees on the rooftop, gazing at the city below with a mix of awe and apprehension as he held onto the wall. His mind was still reeling from the revelation that this was no dream or hallucination. He was actually in the world of My Hero Academia, living as Izuku Midoriya. The breeze was cool against his face, but his thoughts burned with intensity. He glanced at All Might, standing a few feet away, his powerful silhouette framed by the sun. This was it, the moment he'd been waiting for since waking up in this world. His meta-knowledge reminded him exactly what was about to happen next, but he feigned ignorance, keeping his demeanor appropriately wide-eyed and nervous. All Might, he began cautiously, his voice betraying a hint of the awe he wanted to convey. See, can you answer me something? 1. I'm quirkless, but even so I wish to be a hero. Can a quirkless person become a hero? All Might didn't answer immediately. Instead, steam began to rise from his body as he surrendered to fate. Izuku knew this was the beginning of the big reveal. The iconic, towering figure of the symbol of peace began to shrink. His broad shoulders narrowed, his golden hair deflated, and his radiant presence diminished. Izuku stood up, pretending to stumble backward in shock as All Might transformed into his true form, a gaunt, frail man with sunken eyes and a weary expression. You're deflating, Izuku exclaimed, channeling the right amount of shock to sell the act. All Might gave a dry chuckle, waving him off. It's not deflating. This is my true form. Izuku stepped closer, feigning disbelief. He had to tread carefully, the last thing he wanted was to arouse suspicion. What happened to you? He asked, his voice trembling. All Might pulled up his shirt, revealing the massive scar across his side. Even though Izuku already knew the story, seeing it in person made his stomach twist. This scar, All Might began, his voice quieter now, is from a battle 5 years ago. It left me like this. I can only maintain my hero form for about 3 hours a day. The rest of the time, I look like this. Izuku nodded, pretending to process the information for the first time. He made a mental note of All Might's careful tone, the way he was sharing a vulnerability he rarely revealed. So even you have limits, Izuku said softly, more to himself than to All Might. Yes, All Might admitted, his voice heavy with regret. The symbol of peace isn't as invincible as people believe. Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of an explosion in the distance. Both of them turned toward the source, smoke billowing into the sky. Izuku's heart sank. This was it. Trouble, All Might muttered, standing up. He began to hobble toward the edge of the roof, forcing his body to activate his quirk and ignoring its protests as he didn't want to have regrets, even if it kills him. Izuku made his move, his instincts kicking in. Wait, All Might, he called out, taking a step forward. Let me come with you. No! All Might snapped, his voice firmer than before. This isn't your fight. Stay here. Before Izuku could protest further, All Might leaped off the rooftop, disappearing into the distance. Izuku stood frozen for a moment before muttering, "Yeah, like hell I'm staying here." He opened his system for the first time, bringing up the beginner's package he'd ignored earlier. System alert. Beginner's package opened. Rewards granted. Healing Vial X99, minor. Hero Aura, passive. Stamina 3, passive. The words floated before his eyes. Fuck. No offensive ability. It's useless. But he didn't have time to dwell on them. He closed the system, feeling the effects of the passive abilities take hold immediately. His breathing steadied, his muscles felt energized, and a strange yet comforting sensation washed over him, a newfound confidence and calmness. He felt his energy reserves expand massively. With no hesitation, Izuku bolted toward the scene of the explosion, his thoughts laser-focused as he ignored the weird pop-up of the system. Not now. He could somehow feel it. The life force of Bakugo is rapidly depleting. His hero aura gave him weird info. It's like a radar of people in need, and it kept on urging him to hurry. The crowd around the sludge villain was growing larger, their faces a mix of fear and fascination. Pro-heroes stood on the sidelines, trying to contain the situation, but none of them dared to act. In the middle of the chaos, Bakugo struggled against the sludge villain, his face twisted in rage and desperation. His hands were bound, his explosions ineffective against the suffocating ooze that blocked his sweat pores and prevented the necessary oxygen for ignition. Fear. He felt it in massive waves. He saw the heroes watching him, and desperation slowly began to sink in as his air was running out. Fuck! Help me, you bastards! If heroes don't help me, then who will? If only I can take out one hand. I'd blast this fucker in his face. Why isn't anyone helping him? What do they expect will happen if the heroes don't act? Izuku muttered as he pushed his way through the crowd. He slid past below them in a fast speed with his bag open on his stomach. He could feel the power of his hero aura activating, a subtle but undeniable shift in the atmosphere. His face strengthened and his breathing stopped. Total concentration on his target, like a wolf hunting for prey. The pro-heroes around him straightened, their hesitation lessening as their confidence seemed to grow. At the same time, the sludge villain's movements became slightly sluggish, its form less cohesive. Izuku didn't stop to analyze the effects. Instead, he reached into his mind for a strategy. All he knew is that hero aura gave him a buff, and that activates when doing heroic action, giving him and other heroes 10% buff and inflicting 10% debuff on villains. Fuck it, let's go with the original plan, hit and dash. He ran to Bakugo, the hero barricade failing to stop him as they were distracted. He felt unexpectedly energetic, like his frail muscles had immense power. His huge stamina offers huge explosive strength at the expense of muscles and tendons damage. He clenched his school bag and hurled it with all his might, aiming for the sludge villain's eyes. The bag smacked into the villain's face, momentarily distracting it due to the surprising force behind it. His head jerked back and the villain roared, writhing as the items inside the bag spilled out. Many sharpened pins poked his eyes. He was forced to close his eyes. That's my opening, Izuku muttered. Without a second thought, he charged forward, his hero aura flaring to life. The roaring of his heart muffled the shouting of the crowd around him that urged him to stop. Fuck you, useless bastards! The crowd gasped as he broke through the barricade. The energy emanating from him was palpable, a magnetic pull that made him seem larger than life. What's this kid doing? One of the heroes shouted. All Might, who had been watching from the edge of the crowd, felt the effects of hero aura. He had arrived here with all his speed, but no matter how hard he tried to activate OFA, he just couldn't. He reached his absolute limit. His body, weakened and battered as it was, felt a surge of strength all of a sudden. He widened his eyes and straightened slightly, his eyes narrowing as he focused on the green-haired boy. His arrival granted him an odd feeling of empowerment. Using the newfound strength he felt, he directly activated OFA with smoke rising in his body. Shame. That was his main thought as he saw the kid act while he and the other heroes around stood watching. Is that him? All Might muttered, recognizing the boy as smoke keeps on rising from his form. Izuku didn't stop to think, his heart hammering in his chest. The sludge villain turned its attention to him, its tendrils lashing out. Izuku dodged, sliding under one of the tendrils and grabbing Bakugo's arm. "Move it, Bakugo!" Bakugo's eyes widened in shock. "Deku? What the hell are you doing? Saving your sorry ass." Izuku snapped, rage on his face. "Bastard. Be grateful I'm saving you, you piece of shit." "Fucking kids!" Izuku kept tugging at him with all his strength, but the villain had a weird suction force on Bakugo. Izuku kept on tugging hard, his muscles not tiring even as he pushed them to his absolute limit, and finally with a surprising force that shocked Bakugo and even himself. Pop! He managed to free him with his raw strength. Bakugo almost instantly grabbed Izuku's hand and blasted an explosion at the villain to push them further. The villain roared, more tendrils surging toward them. Izuku braced himself, knowing he wouldn't be able to dodge in time while in the air. Bakugo's hand was rocked back from the force of the previous explosion and his other hand holding him. Just as Izuku was about to resort to his last desperate attempt by throwing a healing vial at the villain to distract him, he heard a sound of boisterous laughter. He had seen enough and decided to act. "You old piece of shit. I saw the smoke rising almost 4 seconds ago. You were observing me like a fucking hawk. Never fear, for I am here." All Might appeared in a blur of motion, his muscle form restored. The crowd erupted into cheers. As he stood tall, his presence a beacon of hope. He was surprised, no pain for pushing past his time limit. It even felt as if his limit expanded. He must have had more in him than he thought. No, that's not it. He glanced at the green-headed boy and knew his source of sudden boost. But he said that he was quirkless? He doesn't have a power-boosting quirk? Nevertheless, he focused on the villain that was moving in slow motion to him. Izuku felt the effects of his hero aura amplify All Might's already commanding presence. The symbol of peace was radiating power, his smile brighter than ever. Mook, seeing this, looked at All Might, alarms ringing in his head. He leaped to the two kids to use them as shield and a hostage, but before he could, All Might cocked his fists back, his voice ringing out like thunder. "Detroit! Smash!" The last thing he saw was the green kid's wild smile as he gave him a middle finger while falling. Bakugo's perceptive eyes landed on Izuku's figure. He was astonished to see him grinning wildly with his mouth open and his hand giving a certain gesture he loved to use daily. 777. The hell, Deku? That's kinda sick dash. The punch created a shockwave so powerful it scattered the sludge villain into pieces, extinguished the surrounding flames, and sent a refreshing gust of wind through the crowd. It even changed the weather itself. Izuku and Bakugo were thrown backward, landing roughly on the grassy land and rolling due to the sheer wind pressure. However, Izuku was not shocked by this but was shocked by Bakugo's actions as he grabbed him and shielded him from the intense fall. He even felt the kid's shoulder pop. Well, he was a kid too now at 14 years old, but his mind was in his early 20s. As the dust settled, the crowd cheered wildly. The heroes on the scene approached All Might, praising him for his intervention. The cameras kept flashing from the journalists. Izuku sat up, his body still trembling from the adrenaline. Bakugo, beside him, stared at him with a mixture of confusion and anger. You bastard," Bakugo muttered, his voice shaking. "Why the hell would you do that?" Izuku looked at him, his expression unreadable. "Because someone had to. You were dying." Bakugo didn't respond, his hands clenching into fists. He was right. How low he has fallen that Deku had to save him. But still, his pride won't accept it. "I didn't need your help. Don't you dare tell anyone about this, you damn nerd." Izuku looked at him with a pensive look, his face calm as he nodded and got up. His one thought was childish little shit. Bakugo stared at his back as the crowd surrounded him and stopped his thoughts of utter rage as he saw his face. "Why did it have to be you out of everyone? Why do you always?" Bakugo thrashed as the crowd congratulated him. He was furious. They watched him almost die and now they are being all goody two-shoes with him. And it irked him. How Deku got a scolding from these bastards. They should crowd and not me. I don't need to steal your limelight, you damn nerd. I will shine brighter than All Might himself. Just you wait, I'll show you. I'll show everyone that I'm better. That you can't look down on me with those damn sympathetic eyes. Let me go, you bastards. I don't need your fucking sympathy. I'll show you. Just you watch. Bakugo was mad. The cameras kept on recording him in his lowest moment in life. Him being detained by that mud villain was also likely filmed by someone. The next day everyone will mock me. Deku will mock me and spread the news to the entire school. I'll become the school's laughingstock. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Izuku found himself walking home alone. The adrenaline had worn off, leaving him confused. Shouldn't he feel tired a bit? That was intense AF, yet, he still feels fine, just a slight muscle strain. As if his body could run for hours and hours before feeling exhausted. Weird. He took back his words. It's not useless at all. This stamina 3 boost is the equivalent of a quirk. Hey, kid. He turned to see All Might, once again in his frail form, standing in the alleyway. You're the same boy from earlier, Deku, if I remember right from what the explosive brunette said. Midoriya, Izuku Midoriya. That guy was mocking me by that nickname. It means useless since I'm quirkless. All Might paused. Yet you saved him. The skeletal man's expression was unreadable to Izuku. I did. He needed help. I refused to let anyone die while I'm around them. Even if he didn't thank you? Even if you were scolded? All Might said, his tone serious. You disobeyed my orders and ran into danger. You could have died. All Might paused again, looking down at the boy like a hawk. Why? Izuku hesitated, then took a deep breath. Because I couldn't just stand there and do nothing. My body moved on its own. Izuku felt his hero aura activate. Interesting, so the ability activates even if I'm acting. I just have to say or do something hurl. All Might studied him for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, he smiled a big, genuine smile. He felt it again and looked at the kid with an approving gaze. You've got the heart of a hero, he said softly, and excited hidden undertones in his voice. He felt it. The closer he got to this kid, the more One for All reacted. He felt stronger. He felt the power inside him surge a little whenever he spoke to the boy. He looked at the boy as the sun descended on his small young body. He seemed full of life and had the heart of a radiant hero. So, this is what Nana Sensel felt when she met me? I have found him, my successor. Finally? All Might laughed loudly as he felt the weight on his shoulders lessen. Finally, I have made it. After many decades, I have found him. I didn't even need to choose. The power chose its own successor. Izuku felt his chest tighten, but he forced himself to stay composed. This was the moment everything changed. I have something important to tell you, All Might continued. Let's talk. And with that, the future began to shift. Chapter 3. The next step. The afternoon sun hung low in the sky as Izuku sat on a bench in Dagoba Municipal Beach Park, staring out at the horizon. His thoughts raced as All Might stood beside him, his imposing figure casting a long shadow. The events of yesterday played over and over in his mind. He had pretended to be shocked by All Might's revelation of his true form. He had charged headfirst into danger to save Bakugo, and had felt something different within himself during the chaos. That hero aura from his system, it wasn't just a gimmick. It had worked. It made him stronger, faster, sharper. Now, here he was, on the verge of a moment he knew was coming but still felt unprepared for. All right, young man, All Might began, his voice breaking the silence. There's something I need to ask you. Izuku turned his head slightly, keeping his expression uncertain despite knowing exactly what All Might was going to say. He had expected him to tell him yesterday, but the man just said that he should meet him tomorrow after school in Dagoba Beach. Perhaps he saw my shaken expression and chose to let me rest. Unlike Izuku, I have self-preservation instinct, so after all of that I felt mental fatigue and needed a proper rest, so I directly ate dinner and slept soundly. I even skipped school. What do you mean? All Might sat down next to him, his gaze distant. I wasn't lying earlier when I said I was weakened. My time as the symbol of peace is limited, and the truth is, I can't keep doing this forever. Izuku swallowed hard, pretending to absorb the weight of those words for the first time. My power, one for all Might continued, his tone reverent, is a quirk that's been passed down through generations. It's not something I was born with. It was given to me by my predecessor. Izuku's eyes widened slightly, more out of habit than genuine surprise. You mean quirks can be passed on? In very rare cases, yes, All Might said, nodding. One for all is unique. It's a power that grows stronger with each generation, accumulating strength as it's passed down. And now, he turned to Izuku, his sharp eyes locking onto him. It has decided to be passed on to you. The words hung in the air, heavy and profound. Even though Izuku had anticipated this moment, hearing it firsthand was something else entirely. Wait. Don't you mean? All Might smirked. No, it chose you. Whenever I'm near you I can feel its power pulsing slightly. He pointed at Izuku and pointed his finger at his heart. You're next, Midoriya boy. Izuku had to stop himself from face-palming as hero aura caused a boost to OFA, causing All Might to think it's fated. Yet will he say that information? Hell no, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Pass itself, to me? Izuku asked, his voice laced with disbelief. Yes, All Might said firmly. You've shown the qualities of a true hero: courage, selflessness, and the will to act even when it seems impossible. Those qualities are what make you worthy of inheriting One for All. Even if it didn't choose you, I would. Izuku hesitated, his mind racing. He couldn't just blurt out an eager yes, not without arousing suspicion. But I don't have a quirk. Are you sure I'm the right choice? All Might smiled, a warm, reassuring expression. It's because you don't have a quirk that you're the perfect choice. One for All isn't something that just adds to what you already have, it's something that becomes a part of who you are. After all, I was quirkless myself. What? Really? Yes, ha ha ha. Izuku looked down at his hands, pretending to wrestle with the decision. In truth, his mind was already made up, but he had to make it convincing. Okay, he said finally, his voice soft but resolute. If you really think I'm the right person, I'll do it. All Might's smile widened, and he clapped a hand on Izuku's shoulder. Good. You've made the right choice, young man. The two of them spent the next half hour discussing the logistics of training. All Might explained that Izuku would need to prepare his body to handle the power of One for All. It's not something you can use at full strength right away, All Might explained. If you tried, it would tear your body apart. That's why we need to start building you up physically and mentally. Izuku nodded, absorbing the information. So, what's the plan? We'll start with physical conditioning, All Might said, gesturing toward the beach. This place is a mess. Years of garbage and debris have turned it into a dumping ground. Your first task will be to clean it up. Izuku glanced at the piles of trash scattered across the sand, his expression deliberately uncertain. All of this? By myself? All Might grinned. Not by yourself, I'll be guiding you. But yes, this is your first challenge. A hero needs strength, but they also need the determination to see things through, no matter how overwhelming they seem. Izuku nodded slowly, pretending to process the daunting task. In reality, he was already forming a plan in his head. The system's stamina boost would give him a significant edge. He won't collapse of exhaustion no matter what, but he didn't want to make his progress too suspiciously fast. Just fast enough to inherit the power earlier, as fast as possible. He needs to train the power. I refuse to injure myself with every punch or kick. I'll tame you, OFA. We'll start tomorrow morning, All Might said, standing up and stretching. Meet me here at 5 a.m. Sharp. Don't be late. Izuku arrived home later that evening, his body still buzzing with the day's events. He stepped inside, the comforting scent of home-cooked food wafting through the air. Inko, he thought to himself, remembering the name of the woman who was now his mother. The realization still felt surreal, but he had grown increasingly adept at pretending, plus, his inherited memories helped him adapt immensely. "Izuku, you're home." Inko called from the kitchen. "Yeah, I'm home," he replied, kicking off his shoes and walking toward the dining table. Inko emerged from the kitchen carrying a tray of food. She smiled warmly as she set it down, her eyes scanning him for any signs of trouble. "You skipped school today. Everything okay?" Inko was concerned. Her son never skipped school before. He was in his room almost all day until the afternoon, in which he walked out telling her he needed some refreshing air. Izuku nodded, sitting down and picking up his chopsticks. "Yeah. Just thinking about what I want to do after middle school." Inko's expression softened, but there was a hint of concern in her eyes. "Izuku, I know you've always dreamed of being a hero, but it's okay if that doesn't happen. I'm sure you will grow up to be an amazing man." Izuku's grip on his chopsticks tightened slightly. He forced a small smile, nodding again. "Thanks, Mom, I'll try to be both." They ate in comfortable silence after that, the sound of clinking dishes filling the air. Izuku found himself appreciating the simplicity of the moment. Later that night, Izuku retreated to his room, closing the door behind him. He sat on his bed and opened his system interface again, the familiar screen appearing before him. System status. Hero aura, passive buffs all nearby heroes by 10%. Debuffs all nearby villains by 10%. Stamina 3, passive significantly enhances physical stamina. Healing vials, minor 99. He tapped on the hero aura description, reading the details more thoroughly. It seemed to amplify the confidence and strength of allies while subtly weakening opponents. "That explains why All Might looked so sharp earlier," Izuku muttered. Next, he inspected the healing vials. Each one was described as capable of healing minor injuries and restoring energy. "Not bad," he thought. "Could come in handy while training to fix my torn muscles. I'll dilute it in water and use it as an energy drink." His stamina felt endless, but his body was still weak. The muscle tissue will tear apart under enough pressure. He even felt a small amount of pain when he pulled Bakugo from Mook. He had boosted himself with Stamina 3 and Hero Aura, but it left an effect. He spent the next hour experimenting with the system's interface, familiarizing himself with its layout and features. It only had inventory and quest tab. No matter how much he searched, he found nothing else. No numbered stats? Skills? Shop? I can't store things either. I can only store what the system gives me. He observed the small vial of healing potion for a while. It was a generic healing vial made of small glass filled with a red liquid. Can it be used on others? All Might could use it, but it only heals minor injuries. I need a major healing potion for that, but I can't earn them directly. He opened the quest tab and looked at the quest message. Main quest, save Bakugo from the villain Mook, complete. Reward, 1 Tomo Sharingan. Side quest, earn Bakugo's approval, complete. Reward, 150,000 Y, 10,008. As he lay back on his bed, staring at the screen, a small smile crept across his face. This world was full of trouble, but he felt ready to face them. Sharingan is extremely helpful. It can help him think faster and see the opponent's movement in a slower motion. Jinjutsu with 1 Tomo might not be that strong, but it's definitely something invaluable. 150k yen, that's almost $1,000, extremely helpful to buy supplies for training. He was certain that Inko can't provide him enough materials for training. He needed his protein to bulk up. If he was fat, then gaining muscles is relatively easy with his stamina. But he was thin. He has no muscles underneath his skin, and gaining muscles will be a torturously slow ordeal. But still, how did I earn Bakugo's approval? Didn't I curse at him and made him furious with my intervention when I saved his ungrateful ass? What did I miss? Tomorrow, his training would begin, and with it, the first steps toward becoming the hero this world needed. Setting the alarm to 4 in the morning, he slept at 9. Only to wake up at 2 at night. Izuku opened his eyes and looked at the ceiling with irritation, but then it struck him, he was actually fully satiated on sleep. But how? I slept for 5 hours only? I usually need 8 to 9 hours to feel fully rested. His memories of the original Izuku told him so. Oh! Izuku wasn't stupid, he knew what was happening. It's one of those two possibilities. He has a simple insomnia, or his stamina 3 helped him. Izuku leaned on the latter more. Stamina 3 has changed his sleep cycle. He no longer needs 8 hours, 5 will do more than enough. In fact, he felt overrested. This is how the body works, if it needs rest it will, if it doesn't then it won't, and that resting period averages on 8 hours for a normal person, but it fluctuates on growing teens. However, one thing is certain, the body only sleeps to restore stamina, but his stamina is so massive that the body doesn't need that much sleep anymore. I have to admit, stamina 3 is the best thing that happened to me in this life. Chapter 4. The Dawn of Growth. The sun was barely rising when Izuku arrived at Dagoba Municipal Beach, the early morning chill biting against his skin. The sight of the garbage-strewn shoreline stretched before him like a battlefield. He adjusted the strap of his gym bag, which he had packed with gloves, and a notebook to track his progress. Ah, you're on time. All Might's voice boomed from behind him. Izuku turned to see the hulking figure of All Might, beaming with enthusiasm. Despite everything he knew about the man, it was still surreal to see the world's greatest hero greeting him so warmly. Good morning, All Might, Izuku replied, his voice steady but respectful. Today marks the beginning of your journey to become a hero, All Might said, gesturing toward the trash-strewn beach. We'll start by turning this dump into a pristine shoreline. You'll need every ounce of strength, stamina, and willpower you've got. Izuku nodded, determined. I'm ready. The first few months were grueling. Izuku spent hours hauling broken appliances, car tires, and other debris across the beach. His muscles burned, and his body screamed in protest, but he pushed through with the help of healing vials and his monstrous stamina. In the evenings, he would head to a nearby supplement store, where he spent his savings on protein powder and other dietary ALDS he had read about. The system's Stamina 3 made it possible for him to work harder than most, but he needed the protein to build muscles. Mom, I'm back, Izuku called out one evening as he entered their apartment, carrying a large bag of groceries. Inko peeked out from the kitchen, her face lighting up with a smile. Izuku, you've been working so hard lately. Are you eating enough? Izuku set the bag down and smiled. Yeah, Mom. I've been cooking meals and taking supplements to keep my muscles in check. Don't worry about me. Inko's smile faltered slightly, her concern evident. You're not overworking yourself, are you? Izuku shook his head. No, I'm fine. Besides, I want to get stronger. I want to make you proud. The last couple of months had made Izuku extremely close to his mother. He would sacrifice his life for her on a whim. No one had treated him with this much motherly love ever before, so he treasured her immensely. Inko reached out, hugging him tightly. I'm already proud of you, Izuku. Just take care of yourself, okay? The thought that he needed to grow stronger to protect her from villain attacks pushed him further and further to train. More, not yet. Izuku decided to drop the pretense and train without holding back at all, even if his speed arouses suspicions. The progress astonished All Might. He has trained many sidekicks and students in his life, but by far Izuku is the most resilient boy he has ever seen. The boy doesn't tire at all, like a machine that keeps on working non-stop. It has reached the point where All Might had to take the clean trash and dump it elsewhere for Izuku to clean again. His progress was just too fast that the training plan he came up with just won't work anymore. He surpassed it long ago. As the months went by, the beach transformed under Izuku's relentless effort. Piles of garbage disappeared, revealing the sandy shore beneath. Izuku's physique began to change as well. His muscles became more defined, and his stamina improved dramatically further. Izuku now feels like he can run for days without tiring. All Might watched with growing astonishment. Young Midoriya, he said one morning, arms crossed as he observed Izuku lifting an old refrigerator onto a truck with relative ease for someone his size. Your progress is incredible. I've trained countless people, but few have shown this level of dedication. Izuku, panting but smiling, set the refrigerator down. I just really want to be ready, All Might. If I'm going to inherit One for All, I have to give it everything I've got. To hell with holding back to not arouse suspicion, I can't afford such luxury. All Might nodded, his usual boisterous demeanor replaced by a rare moment of solemnity. You're exceeding my expectations, young man. Keep this up, and you'll inherit it sooner than planned. All Might himself set a plan for young Midoriya to receive OFA after 10 months of working based on his size. It was rushed but necessary to not harm him. However, the boy had such an intense willpower that he finished everything in 6 months, leaving Toshinori perplexed. He had increased the pressure, but the boy just keeps on going further and further. At one point he gave him a well-deserved break but was helpless when he saw him again training in the beach the next day. Don't you tire? You're under an insanely tight schedule already, training then school then training at home, and all of this under a strict diet. Even if he made sure to push his body to the point of absolute limit, forcing him to rest in such a way for a couple of days, he was again shocked to see him the next day with the same cheerful demeanor. It's almost as if his body was healed overnight. All Might eventually stopped thinking and gave up. Midoriya is an anomaly among anomalies. Common sense won't work with this boy. All Might looked at him and ruffled his hair. It has grown, but the boy refused to cut it for some reason. He wanted a hairstyle like a guy called Genos or something. All Might wasn't sure who that is but didn't care to know. Izuku smiled but kept his head down, hiding the flicker of excitement in his eyes. The system's stamina boost had been a significant advantage, but he didn't want All Might to know about it. 6 months into the training, All Might decided it was time for Izuku to receive One for All. They stood on the now pristine beach, the morning sunlight reflecting off the waves. You've proven yourself, young Midoriya, All Might said, holding a strand of his hair between his fingers. You're ready for this power. Eat this. After a little explanation about his quirk and how it needs to be transferred via DNA, he saw his student reluctantly agreed. Can't blame him, brings back memories of my sense. He is lucky my hair is kinda short, that woman's hair was long. Yagi chuckled at the fond memories of his master and how he refused to eat her hair, only to be forced to eat it after a good beating. Izuku stared at the strand of hair, suppressing the urge to roll his eyes at the bizarre method of transfer. He hesitated for a moment before taking it and swallowing. Great! All Might said, clapping his hands together. It'll take some time for the power to fully integrate, but you're now the 9th holder of One for All. Izuku nodded, his mind already racing with plans on how to integrate the new power with his existing abilities. All Might, he said hesitantly, deciding it was time to address something he'd been hiding. There's something I should tell you. All Might raised an eyebrow. Oh? What is it? Izuku activated his Sharingan, the single tomo spinning lazily in his left eye. This. I don't know how to explain it, but I've had this since I was a kid. It doesn't feel like a quirk, but it helps me see things more clearly, like I can analyze movements and memorize things instantly. All Might paused, he has not expected that. All Might saw a lot of strange individuals in society. Some had sprinkler head, some had intangible fire bodies, and Izuku having green hair didn't surprise him at all when he saw him for the first time. He stared into his crimson eyes. It had 2 pupils now. An anomaly, that's the most logical explanation as to what Izuku is. The figure of another anomaly, Nedzu, appeared in his mind as he considered sharing this with him. No. Midoriya boy trusted me with his secret, I can't betray his trust. All of that doesn't matter, since all that is worth looking for is his heroic heart and will of steel. All Might thought that even he will lose in a battle of willpower against Midoriya. Yet he leaned closer, examining the red eye with curiosity and amazement. Fascinating. It doesn't feel like a quirk, you say. Perhaps it's some sort of genetic mutation? Izuku shrugged, feigning uncertainty. Maybe. I never really thought much about it before, but I wanted to be honest with you since you're training me. All Might placed a hand on his shoulder, his expression serious but kind. Thank you for telling me, young Midoriya. Whatever it is, it seems to complement your abilities perfectly. Let's make sure to incorporate it into your training. All Might thought of a new way to train the boy. His body is in good condition, but his mind? Let's teach him some moves and use this red eye thing to our advantage. It can help him memorize things perfectly. Then let's start with martial arts. For days after receiving One for All, Izuku found himself walking home from school, only to be intercepted by Bakugo. Deku! Bakugo snarled, his explosive palms crackling with energy. What the hell's been going on with you? You've been acting all high and mighty lately. Bakugo was angry. Izuku has been acting weird again for a while now. It almost feels like he is certain of something, almost as if he can beat him. This morning he demanded from Izuku to buy him something as well for lunch from the cafeteria, but the green-headed boy took his money and threw it in his face in front of everyone present. He only left one sentence to him afterwards. Tell one of your extras to do that bullshit. Bakugo stared at him for a while as he walked away before ordering Mizuki to buy him something instead. What's wrong with Deku? He should be angry and beat him for that, but Deku had this weird vibe, almost charged and ready for a fight. Bakugo chose to wisely beat his ass after school since he doesn't want to face any consequences, especially when he is so close to enrolling in UA. Izuku sighed, adjusting his bag. What do you want, Bakugo? I want to know what's gotten into you, Bakugo growled, stepping closer. You've been different, stronger. You think you're better than me now, don't you? Izuku's eyes narrowed. He could feel the heat of Bakugo's anger, but he wasn't the same timid boy he used to be. Yeah. Bakugo snarled, his suspicions proven as his anger boiled over. You want to prove how much you're better? Fight me, Deku. Izuku stared for a moment before nodding. Fine. But keep this a secret, Bakugo. He really can't afford a report now since UA is nearing, one black mark on his file and he's out. The competition is insane, less than 1% gets in. The written exam is the most problematic one because Nezu is simply the one who makes it. Although, with my Sharingan and its copying ability, I will get a nearly full mark on written exams. One look with Sharingan and information is directly burned into his head. He doesn't even need to read them, just one glance. Although, memorizing more than 30 pages per day is his current limit. But if there is one thing he learned from All Might, it's to bypass his limits. It has reached the point where whenever he can't do something he will put all his focus into repeating it until he can. Plus Ultra. The mind and the body, one is stronger than the other. Every day Izuku learned more and more and hit his limit daily. As for pain? Just use a healing vial, he has 23 left anyway. He looked at Bakugo. His mind now thinks naturally faster after awakening his Sharingan. It has not been more than 3 seconds since he began thinking of all of this. Izuku wasn't sure. Is it because he keeps on pushing his mind that he thinks faster? His body made him think faster. His Sharingan? But his muttering habit turned into accelerated thought habit, and now he just has a habit of randomly staring and thinking. The fight began with Bakugo charging forward, his explosions propelling him at breakneck speed. Izuku activated his Sharingan, the world slowing down around him as he tracked Bakugo's movements. He dodged the first explosion, slipping to the side and landing a quick jab to Bakugo's ribs. The system stamina 3 and the slight boost from One for All made his movements sharper, his strikes more precise. What the hell? Bakugo shouted, stumbling back. That punch hurt him badly. Since when could you fight like this? Izuku didn't answer. Instead, he focused on staying calm, using his Sharingan to predict Bakugo's next attack. He ducked under another explosion and countered with a sweeping kick, sending Bakugo sprawling. Bakugo kept getting up more and more. Each feint attack of his was predicted, each counter attack of his blocked, and to top it all off, Izuku never directly attacked him, he only blocked and retaliated. He never engaged in direct combat, almost as if he doesn't need to, that he can easily manage him. Izuku fully intended on shattering his pride into a million pieces. He wanted him to cry himself to sleep tonight. Every time Bakugo fell down, Izuku didn't attack until he got up and attacked him, to which he simply counter-attacked him with a slap. Bakugo has lost count on how many times his face was slapped. For some reason, Izuku kept on slapping him instead of punching. Bakugo's rage was pushed to its limits. Yet, no matter what, as if he can see the future, he simply never managed to even touch him. The fight ended with Izuku pinning Bakugo to the ground, his breathing steady despite the exertion. Bakugo stared at him with a beaten, battered body. He noticed one crucial thing that made him freeze. That Deku, he has no sweat on his face? Bakugo stared up at him, his face a mixture of anger and disbelief. How did you beat me? Izuku stood up, offering Bakugo a hand and knowing that it's a pointless action. I told you countless times already I am just trying to get better. Maybe you should try it too. Bakugo slapped his hand away and stormed off, his pride shattered but his determination ignited, his confidence wounded as he realized that Izuku has surpassed him while he was lazing around, confident that he will win with his quirk alone. He clenched his teeth and clutched his ribs. Everything hurts, he has been thoroughly beaten, he can't feel his face at all. The slapping felt very personal. As Izuku watched him go, he couldn't help but chuckle. This was only the beginning. He had targeted his face so much that it has swollen. He even used 0.5% of OFA at the last slap, making the blonde bleed from his nose and fall down on the floor. Also refreshing. Stay humble, bitch. Izuku returned home in a very good mood. Chapter 5. Building the Foundation. Izuku leaned against his desk after school, his mind replaying the fight with Bakugo. His body wanting more fighting. The experience was very useful. He had managed to get a better hold over his acolytes and his victory had left him with a quiet sense of accomplishment. He had proven to himself and to Bakugo that he was no longer the weak, timid Deku of before. A faint chime echoed in his head, pulling him from his thoughts. Minor quest complete. Win against Bakugo. Reward: high-quality wireless Bluetooth earbuds. Minor quests. He has many of those to do all sorts of things, but they were mostly ignored by him since the rewards were pointless. Izuku blinked as a sleek, black case materialized in his system storage. He observed it and opened it to reveal a pair of earbuds that practically screamed premium quality. The system's prompt explained their functions. Item acquired: Pro Hero Earbuds. Enhances auditory perception by 20%. Crystal clear sound quality. Highly durable and resistant to damage, high water resistance. He slipped the earbuds into his ears, marveling at the perfect fit and how they seemed to amplify even the faintest sounds, the rustle of papers, the distant hum of a vending machine. Testing their audio quality, he connected them to his phone and played some music. The sound was crisp and immersive, as if he were in a concert hall. Well, at least the system rewards aren't just for show, Izuku muttered to himself. He quickly pocketed the earbuds before getting up and heading home. The next morning, Izuku met All Might at Dagoba Beach at sunrise. The breeze carried the salty tang of the ocean, and the sand, now pristine after months of cleaning, sparkled in the early light. "All right, young Midoriya," All Might said, stretching his massive arms. "Now that you've made such incredible progress physically and mentally, it's time to focus on combat training to gain experience. You've got to know how to use that strength effectively." "Understood," Izuku replied, his excitement barely contained. They started with boxing, All Might demonstrating basic stances, footwork, and jabs. Izuku picked it up almost instantly, mimicking All Might's movements with uncanny precision. "Good, good," All Might encouraged, though he couldn't hide the slight hint of irritation in his tone. "There he goes, learning it instantly again while it took me months to learn it in my young days. Now try combining it with a straight punch." Izuku nodded and delivered a sharp 1-2 combination. His punches snapped with precision and power, surprising even himself. "You're like a sponge, young man," All Might said, grinning. "Every time I show you something, you master it before I can even critique you." Izuku scratched the back of his head, laughing awkwardly. "It's the Sharingan, Yagi-sensei." All Might nodded. He had extensive explanation of what the Sharingan can do from Izuku, as to why he called it Sharingan. He didn't know, but it probably has something with its copying abilities. To be fair, All Might still wondered what the Sharingan even is. It feels out of this world. He wondered if he should ask Aizawa about this since his quirk is related to the ocular area as well, but he decided not to since, as stated by Midoriya himself, it's not a quirk but something else. Plus, Midoriya wanted him to keep it a secret. All Might looked at Izuku's unnatural green hair. A mutation it is, not that rare. Although All Might has never seen something like this before, the eyes, the insane endurance for someone as young and frail like Izuku, he wanted to keep Izuku's abilities a secret for he feared the worst. Over the next few weeks, their training expanded to include grappling, evasive maneuvers, and even a bit of kickboxing. All Might pushed Izuku hard, but the boy absorbed everything with a determination that left All Might both impressed and slightly exhausted. "You're going to surpass me at this rate," All Might joked one day as they finished a sparring session. Izuku smiled but shook his head. "I still have a long way to go, All Might. But I promise that I will." All Might laughed. When Izuku left to school again, his transformation was impossible to ignore. His once slender frame was now toned and athletic, his posture confident, and his eyes held a sharpness that made others hesitate to approach him. He changed his style and psyche so much that he is now practically unrecognizable. During lunch, a few classmates whispered amongst themselves, sneaking glances at him. Even those who had once dismissed him as a weakling couldn't help but begrudgingly respect his evident growth. The girls that used to mock and giggle at his expense now look at him with curiosity and hidden appreciation. So is the nature of a female, always looking for a dominant male, Izuku thought as he discreetly observed everyone. "Izuku," a classmate asked hesitantly. "You've been working out?" Izuku recognized him. It's the kid who can turn his skin into a rock. He offered a small, polite smile. "Yeah, I've been training a lot lately, excuse me." "Ah." Before the classmate could talk to him some more, Izuku got up and left. As he sat down to eat in a quiet corner, he noticed Bakugo across the cafeteria, seated with his usual group. Unlike the others, Bakugo didn't glance in his direction once. If anything, he seemed to go out of his way to avoid looking at Izuku.
"Good boy, stay down." Izuku couldn't help but feel a small sense of relief. Bakugo's silence meant no unnecessary confrontations, and for now, that was exactly what he needed, although he would welcome a fight with open arms, but now was not the time. It's dangerous if he was caught. Under the gazes of the curious students, Izuku ate alone in silence, his earbuds playing music in his ears. He had to put his phone in the locker room, but he kept his earbuds on since he can always hide it in his system whenever he was about to be caught. Plus, strangely enough, the range of his earbuds' Bluetooth connection is insane. That's premium for ya. Later that evening, Izuku and his mother went shopping together. As they passed a boutique, a simple yet elegant yellow dress in the window caught Izuku's eye. Izuku imagined his mom wearing it, and the beautiful picture of a yellow dandelion with a green stem appeared. "It's perfect. Mom, you should try that on," Izuku said, pointing at the dress. Inko's face turned red at the $140 price tag. "Oh, no, Izuku, that's too expensive. I don't need something like that." "It's not that expensive," Izuku said, already pulling out his wallet. "I've been saving up, and you deserve something nice for yourself." Before she could protest further, Izuku entered the shop, bought the dress, handed it to her all without letting her protest. "Here. You've done so much for me, Mom. Let me do this for you." Inko clutched the dress to her chest, her eyes misting with tears. "Izuku, thank you. You're such an amazing young man." Izuku smiled softly. "One day, I'll be so amazing that every mother wishes to be you. You'll be so happy that it'll be the norm to smile." "Power, I need more." As the weeks passed, Izuku's training with All Might intensified. One day, All Might decided to test his strength in a way that would challenge both his body and his will. "Today, you'll carry these 10 kitchen appliances and do a balance push-up session," All Might declared, gesturing to a pile of stoves, ovens, and refrigerators stacked precariously. They should weigh around 3.4 tons. Izuku raised an eyebrow but didn't hesitate. All right. Let's do this. All Might grinned, shifting into his muscular form. This is his favorite part. And I'll sit on top to make it more interesting. Izuku groaned but nodded, hoisting the appliances onto his back. The weight was staggering, but he dug his feet into the sand and began to lower himself and do push-ups. Izuku has mastered full-body coding of OFA long ago. Each movement was a battle against gravity, but Izuku pushed forward, sweat pouring down his face in big quantities. All Might sat atop the pile, shouting encouragement. Come on, young Midoriya. Just a little further. As All Might kept on watching, Izuku kept on going and going and going and going. All Might's smile faded, his expression became serious. He has always wanted to ask the question, what pushes you so hard? Why do you always demand more training? What are you desperately training for? To be a hero? To prove something? All Might jumped down and looked at his student's face. It was focused with a steady rhythm, sweat poured down his face non-stop. To protect someone? What kind of demons is Midoriya facing? All Might wanted to help him, to tell him enough, but he knew, it's pointless, the boy is unstoppable. After a minute of contemplating, he uttered a single sentence in a somber tone. Enough, training complete. I can't help him, I don't know who or what hurt him so badly. I can only hope that time heals his heart. All Might looked at his student like a father looked at his injured son, furious and protective. He subconsciously considered the boy his own son, but due to his lack of a son he didn't realize his actions. When Izuku reached the end of the training, Izuku dropped the weight to his right and collapsed onto the sand, panting heavily and gasping for air like a drowning man, yet the fire in his eyes burned endlessly. I can still keep on going, it's not enough for what I'm going to face in the future. However, as Izuku looked at his teacher's face, he decided that it was enough, he won't allow him to continue. It was strange, All Might always stopped him in a face that showed no smile lately, ever since he dislocated his shoulder last time from his training. Thankfully, healing vials for the win, they healed his aching muscles and give him a good painless night of sleep. You've got the heart of a true hero, All Might said, clapping him on the back. Keep this up, and you'll be ready for anything. Izuku wiped his forehead, a determined smile spreading across his face. I'll never stop improving. Not until I can become a genuine threat to others. I have to protect them, protect my mother, future friends, myself and everyone I care about. For that, I need more and more. As the sun set over Dagoba Beach, the two of them sat together, the sound of the waves a backdrop to the quiet determination that filled the air. Izuku's journey was far from over, but he knew he was on the right path for now. He looked at his teacher who looked at him with a kind fatherly gaze. Star. Izuku's face froze as he recognized that gaze instantly. All Might as a father? Somehow. I don't mind that happy thought, All Might as her personal bodyguard is also a good point. Why not? Sure. Chapter 6. Moments before the leap. The gym class was supposed to be simple: run, jump, throw, and be done with it. But for Izuku and Bakugo, simplicity was a distant dream. Midoriya, Bakugo. You're paired for today's relay drills, barked their PE teacher, a gruff man who seemed to enjoy chaos more than anything. Izuku tensed. He exchanged a glance with Bakugo, whose face twisted in immediate protest. No way, Bakugo snapped, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. I'm not working with him. Same here, Izuku added, crossing his arms in what he hoped looked like resolve, though internally he was already dreading the inevitable. He knew his teacher well. The teacher grinned, clearly enjoying their suffering. Tough luck, boys. Now line up and stop whining. The first few drills were a disaster. Izuku tried handing the baton to Bakugo, only for Bakugo to grab it so forcefully that Izuku nearly fell over. Watch what you're doing, dickhead. Izuku snapped. Maybe if you weren't so clumsy, I wouldn't have to. Bakugo shot back, his voice dripping with Venom. The next round wasn't any better. When it was Bakugo's turn to pass the baton, he hurled it at Izuku with enough force to leave a dent in a wall. "Are you trying to kill me, you bastard?" Izuku yelled, barely catching it in time. "Move faster, damn nerd!" Bakugo roared from behind him. The teacher stood on the sidelines with a camera that discreetly captured everything. He had an expression of pure joy. "Ah, kids fighting, what a joy." He posted the video on his HeroTube channel under the name of Diego_Cisneros_7112. He smiled as he saw 12 views. After a while, his eyes looked down at the recommendation bar and saw a video of a guy called Gentle Criminal. He rolled his eyes and clicked not interested. By the end of the class, both boys were panting and covered in dirt, their teamwork having somehow gotten worse with each drill. The teacher shook his head in mock disappointment. "You two are like oil and water. It's almost inspiring how bad you are together." "I'm not teaming up with him again," Bakugo growled, stalking off. Izuku sighed in relief, agreeing with a nod. As Izuku opened his locker that day, a rash of pink caught his eye. Taped to the inside of the door was an envelope with a heart drawn in the comber. Izuku stared at it for a moment, his brain processing what it meant. A confession? From who? He picked up the envelope, his curiosity briefly piqued, but then his memories took over. He had no time for romance, not with the UA entrance exam just around the corner, not with these type of girls. "Where were you when I was at my lowest?" Izuku thought that if he could choose anyone, it'd be Ochaku when he goes to U.A. Without even opening the letter, he tossed the letter into the trash can by the lockers and walked away like a savage. Behind him, a group of students watched, slack-jawed. Did he just? Yep. He threw it away. "Man, that's cold." Cries of a girl with shoulder-length hair and glasses filled the hall, but zero shits were given by Izuku as he walked out. Izuku didn't look back. He had more important things to focus on. It wouldn't work anyway. He will go to U.A while everyone else will go to random schools. Young love is a risky road full with regrets. He needed an equal in life, someone who loved him, not whom he wanted. Izuku had experience with this from his past life. Pure heart, only a certain cheerful girl with a bob cut came to mind. Later that evening, Izuku and his mom settled onto the couch with a bowl of butter popcorn between them. A popular comedy show was on, and the two of them were laughing so hard they could barely breathe. On screen, the main character, a clumsy office worker, had accidentally spilled coffee all over his boss's private part. The said boss made such a funny expression as he screamed in pain hysterically. "Did you see his face?" Inko exclaimed, wiping tears of laughter from her eyes. Izuku grinned, his own laughter bubbling over. "Yeah, that guy is super fired." For a moment, the stress of his training and preparation melted away. These quiet, happy moments with his mom were rare, and he cherished them deeply. A few days later, Izuku decided to treat his mom to dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. "Inko-san," he said with mock formality as they sat down. He was wearing formal black suit. "Tonight, you're the guest of honor. Order anything you want." Inko laughed nervously. "Izuku, this place is so fancy. Are you sure we can afford it?" "Don't worry about it, Mom. I've been saving up for a long time." They ordered a feast: grilled salmon, sautéed vegetables, and a decadent chocolate dessert. Inko's eyes sparkled as she took her first bite of the salmon. "This is amazing," she said, her voice filled with wonder. Izuku smiled, bittersweet as he saw how happy his mother was with a simple outing. "You deserve it, Mom. You've done so much for me, it's only fair I do something for you." Inko reached across the table to squeeze his hand. "You're such an amazing young man, Izuku. I'm so proud of you." Izuku felt a lump in his throat but managed to smile back. "Thanks, Mom. That means a lot." The following week, Izuku decided it was time to introduce All Might disguised as Toshinori Yagi to his mom. He had delayed this on purpose and refused to let All Might talk with his mother many times. Reason? He wanted to be ready as he wanted them to meet in a light environment when no weight is on his shoulders so that he can enjoy the moment as well. Tomorrow the UA exam will happen. He has studied very well using his Sharingan to memorize everything.
Was this cheating? Nah, who cares anyway? There's countless people with mind-enhancing quirks, so why shouldn't he use his tools to its maximum capacity? Mom, Izuku began as he led Toshinori into their apartment. This is Yagi-sensei. He's been helping me with my training, the man that helped me better myself for the past 10 months, a man I consider a second father after my own, Yagi-sensei. This is Inko, my mother. Inko blinked at the gaunt figure before her. Her son spoke of him so highly, so he must be an amazing man to turn her son into the young man she is seeing today. Oh, my. You're so thin. Toshinori laughed awkwardly, partially by Midoriya's overly flattering introduction and his mother's motherly tone as she addressed him. Ah, yes, I've had some health issues. But your son has been an incredible student. As they sat down to dinner, Inko quickly fell into her usual routine of doting on their guest, her motherly instinct radiating pure love. Yagi-sensei, you're far too skinny. Here, have some more rice, she said, piling food onto his plate. Toshinori had to almost shield his eyes as the woman appeared super bright to him. He tried to protest but eventually gave in, eating with a dorky happy expression. Izuku looked at Yagi and shot him a look that clearly stated he knew what was on his mind. The man coughed awkwardly and drank water to hide his embarrassed expression. As expected, against a caring woman I'm hopeless. All Might thought as he chatted with Inko with great enthusiasm. She reminded him of his sensei, Nana Shimura. Izuku watched the interaction with a small smile, yet he had to suppress a vein from popping on his forehead as those two seemed to forget his existence. But Izuku had to admit, it was surreal to see the symbol of peace sitting at their humble dinner table, chatting with his mom as if they were old friends. Well, if it's him then I don't mind. I'm sure my dead father won't as well. He and his mother had been living from government pension after his father was killed in a villain attack overseas. His life insurance policy forced the company to provide for his family. Men are brave. Izuku thought of any man that is more worthy of Inko than All Might and failed to find anyone, so he begrudgingly gave his blessings. If All Might could read his mind, then he would be coughing blood for days. By the time the meal ended, the atmosphere was warm and filled with laughter. As Izuku landed on his bed late at night, his thoughts descended from the high that is that happy evening. Such a happy family, he has to protect them. And only by growing stronger can he enjoy these moments. As expected, Izuku wanted more of these happy moments. He felt greedy for them. He never had greed for money or women. Izuku felt greed for happiness. Now with OFA at 20%, he started to subconsciously lower his guard. More, I need to grow stronger. Determination filled his eyes as he closed his eyes, sealing his day. Izuku opened his eyes to see a black void around him. The figure of a woman looked at him quietly. Izuku recognized her instantly. Nana Shimura, 7th user of One for All. Izuku tried to speak but failed as his mouth didn't materialize yet. He wasn't strong enough. No need for introductions. You seem to already know everything, and I already have your memories. The woman's tone was casual as she eyed Izuku with interest. Regardless of who you are, Izuku Midoriya or Shashidto Psycho, one thing is certain, you're the 9th user of One for All and the one who has the potential to end it all. She extended her hand to Izuku. The hand was holding a power lightning up with stars on her palm, the raw appearance of a quirk. Take it, my quirk, float. I suppose you already know what to do with this. Do your best, Izuku. The world around him began to crack. We'll continue this another time. He fell down into the endless void. Izuku opened his eyes with a start. He didn't expect Nana to appear now before the exam. He expected her to appear somewhere around the time of the USJ attack. He looked down. He was floating with his blanket above the bed. Yet, his smile was wide. Float, the ability that allows him to float himself or anything he touches. He slowly descended with a thought, surprisingly easy to use. Izuku imagined himself using 100% of OFA to enhance float and lift an entire island like a certain guy from a certain show about a boy with a straw hat. The next morning, Izuku stood before the towering gates of UA High School. The rising sun cast a golden glow over the campus, and the faint hum of excitement filled the air as other students arrived. Izuku took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. This was the first step toward his dream. No matter what happens, he murmured, his eyes filled with determination, I'll give it everything I've got. With that, he stepped forward, ready to face the challenges ahead. Chapter 7. U.A Entrance Exam. Only to be pushed by a certain dickhead. Move it, damn nerd! What was that for you, mophead? Deku, you fucker, my hairstyle is off limits. Square up, you fucker, it's on sight with you. Bring it on, you green bastard. Bakugo roared as many explosions danced on his palm. Izuku lost his patience and directly used 8% with wild crackling sound and electricity around his body. It is worth mentioning that his Stamina 3 ability enhanced his power accumulation. His 8% is not the same as the original Izuku's 8%. If Izuku was asked, it'd be closer to 12% of the original Izuku. It is also worth mentioning that current Bakugo is no match for Izuku, and while both sides knew of this, no one stepped down. Just when Izuku was about to crash out on Bakugo, he heard a gentle, scared voice. Why, you guys? Don't fight H here. Izuku turned to see a girl with a brown hair and a bob cut. If Izuku could rate her, he'd give her full points on cuteness. Bakugo looked at the girl and then at everyone else observing him and Izuku with a frown. He clicked his tongue and retreated. Next time, damn nerd. But not forgetting to be the one who makes the last insult. Izuku looked at the departing figure, a vein appeared on his forehead and he grinded his teeth with a stiff smile to control himself. Yet, when he turned to the brown-headed girl, she flinched and averted her gaze. Izuku mentally face-palmed himself. He wanted to meet her in a charming light-hearted scene, but here he is, looked at like a dangerous hooligan. Great, just great, what an amazing first impression on my behalf. All clap their hands for King Charming over here, the one who charms shit throughout the land. Izuku quickly used his genius mind to make up anything. Think, brain, think? Hey, listen, he started this, okay? I'm really sorry, we have a history together and he used to bully me a lot, Izuku said with puppy eyes as he tried to appeal to her compassionate side. Walt, that sounded hella pathetic. Nu. I see, so it's like this. I understand your situation now. I'm sorry for judging you quickly. Summer is really a nice season, isn't it? The gentle breeze at nights and the warm sunlight. Izuku looked at the sky with appreciation and awe. Thank you, Lord. Izuku was certain that when God said let there be light, Ochaku was born for. However, you acted like a Yankee. Control yourself more, please. Izuku hated summers. He instantly became an atheist as well. He watched her huff and walk away. With an empty gaze, he felt all his energy depleting and his desire to live dwindling as his body became an empty shell of its former self. Living is overrated anyway, the rent is high, and life is hard. One thing led to another as he eventually sat on a stool and began his written exam. Still, as he desperately used the papers to distract himself from the crushing reality of his lack of maidens, he couldn't help but marvel at the questions he is seeing. They were so hard that some students directly left the hall without even writing their name. As expected of Nezu, he can fuck us harder than any villain could. Still, for him who has the Sharingan that allowed him to memorize any text with a look, these were nothing. As he kept on answering and flipping the pages one after another, the attention of the teachers that were observing the exam hall and the students turned on him slowly. Tack, 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 swip, tack, tack. His writing speed was fascinating as it left the observers dumbfounded. Izuku, using the Sharingan to think faster and won for all at 0.3% to increase the speed of his writing, aced the test and exited the exam under the worshipping gaze of the students. He walked out confidently, as expected. He truly was an amazing man after all. OL, you forgot your name. He walked back and wrote his name under the snickering and cackling of the students. I apologize for being born. Somehow, his mood got worse even after he aced the test. Izuku got out and rode the bus to the practical exam and his assigned area. Somehow, for the first time since he arrived in this world, he felt exhausted. The UA High School entrance exam was finally here. Izuku stood among a sea of anxious applicants, his sharp gaze scanning the vast auditorium. The excitement in the air was palpable, but Izuku's mind was calm and calculating. With his knowledge of the test, he felt more prepared than ever. Above the stage, the booming voice of President Mike echoed through the room. "Welcome, future heroes," he shouted, his enthusiasm electrifying the air. "Let me hear you say hey." And the crowd goes silent. "Boo, that sucked." "Who said that? Who said that?" "It's this tall guy with glasses." "What?" "Preposterous. I've been framed." Unacceptable behavior unbefitting of this school's aspiring. "Enough. I don't care anymore, let's just get this over with. Now, let's get down to business." President Mike continued, flipping to the next slide on the massive screen behind him. A schematic of a cityscape appeared, dotted with images of various mechanical foes. Izuku kept a straight face and ignored the intense glare of Tita that stared daggers at him. For the practical exam, you'll be thrown into a simulated city with one mission: destroy as many robots as you can. Each robot is worth a certain number of points based on its difficulty. 1-pointers, 2-pointers, and 3-pointers, you'll find them all out there. But be careful, because there's also... The screen flashed with a massive, intimidating figure A robot towering above the simulated buildings. The 0-pointer. This big bad boy is worth 0 points. My advice? Avoid it. Don't waste your time or risk getting flattened. The crowd erupted in murmurs of concern. The sheer size of the 0-pointer was enough to intimidate even the most confident applicants. "Any questions?" President Mike asked, looking around the room. President Mike blinked for a moment before letting out a tired sigh. "Great, glad to see you so enthusiastic that no one cares to ask, just walk into your assigned areas." As they moved to the testing grounds, Izuku felt his heart pound with anticipation. The simulated city was sprawling, complete with mock skyscrapers, streets, and alleyways. The tension among the students was thick, but Izuku felt a strange calm. His preparations had paid off, and the system's abilities gave him a significant edge. But Izuku had to admit, building an entire city for an exam, Nedzu is so rich it's disgusting. Izuku felt like, as the righteous hero he is, he should hold on to Nedzu's money since it seemed so heavy on his little, small paws. On another note, Izuku felt a few gazes on him. He smirked confidently. They were eyeing the competition. He'll show them a hero. And defeat those definitely too expensive robots. His hero aura activated the moment he stepped into the starting zone to face the robot villains. It was a passive ability, but its effects were noticeable. Several of the students around him straightened their posture, their nervous expressions softening into determination. "Candidates!" President Mick's voice boomed from speakers around the area. "When the gate opens, the exam begins. There's no countdown in a real battle. Go, go!" As the massive gates creaked open, chaos erupted. Students surged forward, their quirks blazing to life as they scattered into the city. Izuku didn't hesitate. He shot forward, channeling 10% of one for all into his legs for a burst of speed as he sprinted past other students. The first 1-pointer loomed ahead, its sensors locking onto Izuku. He smirked, channeling 15% of one for all into his right arm. His Sharingan spun to life, reading the robot's movements as if it were moving in slow motion. Left arm swing, predictable. Izuku sidestepped with ease and countered with a devastating punch that sent the robot flying into a wall. Target destroyed. 1 point, Izuku thought in his mind. Another robot, a 2-pointer, rolled into view. Izuku didn't break stride, jumping into the air and smashing it with a spinning kick powered by 20% OFA. The metallic debris scattered across the street as Izuku landed, already scanning for his next target. As Izuku darted through the city, his hero aura began to affect the other students. Those near him seemed bolder, their strikes more confident, their fear less apparent. Izuku caught sight of a girl struggling against a 3-pointer. She had a steam-based quirk and seemed overwhelmed by the robot's relentless attacks. Without hesitation, Izuku sprinted toward her, his Sharingan reading the robot's attack pattern in slow motion. "Duck!" he shouted, and the girl obeyed just in time. Izuku slammed his fist into the robot's core, dismantling it in one powerful blow. "Thank you," the girl gasped, her cheeks flushed from exertion. "No problem," Izuku said, already moving on as he grabbed the pieces of the robot and threw them to a student with violet hair. He knew him as Shinso, the mind-controlling quirk guy. "Use this!" Izuku shouted as he threw a metal rod at him. Shinso was startled but grabbed the rod by instinct. Thanks. Izuku didn't reply, simply nodding as he doesn't trust this guy enough. He zoomed past with 15% OFA and destroyed many robots and saved others on his way. "Faster, I only have 2 minutes left, faster." The ground began to rumble. Students froze in place, their eyes wide as the towering figure of the zero-pointer emerged from behind a row of buildings. It was even larger in person, its massive limbs casting long shadows over the city. Most of the students turned and ran, heeding Present Mix's warning to run and not engage. But Izuku's gaze snapped to a girl trapped under a piece of rubble near the robot's path. His heart clenched as he saw her bruised leg from afar. Achiko Uraraka, my chance to save her. I'll become Prince Charming no matter what. Hero Aura activated, giving him a massive 10% boost to OFA as he bolted to save the girl. At the same time, in a monitoring room overseeing those events, Cementos-kun. Cementos looked at the screen and understood the situation. He placed his hand and was about to save the cornered girl. "Wait!" Nezu watched with interest as a green-headed boy ran to her. Izuku looked at Uraraka. She was struggling to free herself, but the debris were too heavy, and the zero-pointer was closing in fast. Izuku didn't hesitate. He grabbed a nearby three-pointer and used float on it and himself, pushing his quirk to 10%. The sudden surge of power made his muscles burn in power. He jumped high to the sky, under the astonished gazes of everyone watching him. Target found, Targe. Izuku ignored the three-pointer's robotic noise and clenched onto it hard. Nezu arose from his chair, watching with great interest. The other teachers observed Izuku with growing interest as well. He held into the three-pointer like a toy after all. The three-pointer has the weight of a tank. This'll hurt a bit. Izuku took a deep breath and locked onto the head of the zero-pointer, channeling his massive powers. One for all 40%. He looked at his 10% passive boost. Heavy impact. The three-pointer's robotic body was hurled at the zero-pointer's head with insane speed. It looked as if the three-pointer had no weight until release. Izuku released his hold on float and the original weight of the three-pointer struck the zero-pointer's head so hard it jerked its head back and made its hulking giant form of iron collapse with multiple explosions. The observers just stared speechless. The boy radiated heroic presence. After a long couple of seconds, *10 full rescue points. Nezu spoke first. He has seen enough. The boy rescued and helped many students, but this put the nail on the coffin. The fact that he didn't know about the rescue points system is enough to prove his intention, and if he managed to figure out the exam's hidden rescue points system, then he deserves it as well for being that smart. Usually he doesn't vote until the exam ends, but as he spoke now he made his intentions clear. Nezu wanted Midoriya to come into his school and everyone knew that. No way. The kid hurled a tank at a giant mecha and destroyed them like nothing. That speed and power of his jump alone makes him worthy of entry. Nezu's eyes glinted in greed. He wanted him to enter, the 9th user of One for All. *10. Vlad King was speechless. Did this kid just use a robot to destroy a robot? 10. All Might spoke. He simply couldn't hide his smile anymore. He wanted to roar that this was his successor. 10. Midnight was excited. The power of youth is really something. He saved the girl like a hero straight out of a romance novel. 10 Present Mike was suspicions. Didn't he see this kid before? 1013 spoke slowly. She had been shocked. No one could punch this hard except for All Might. This kid's potential. 10 Snipe spoke as even he who planned to not give any points to any student felt that heroic spirit through the screen. Everyone stared at Aizawa. Although I'd like to mark him like every other student, but it seems you all are too excited, yet even I have to admit, that was good. 10. Nedzu smiled. A student has broken to 80 points. He was smart enough to know that at this moment, history is being written. Izuku looked down and began to fall. He considered using float to descend slowly but chose otherwise as that would rob the chance of Uraraka to save him and earn bonus points. As the ground neared him, he used Sharingan to think faster and react faster so that in case she didn't manage to touch. Slap. Son of a bitch, that stings. Izuku secretly cursed as his body began to hover above the ground. He turned to see the girl emptying her breakfast behind a stone. Still cute. Are you okay? He asked, helping her to her feet. Yes, but your arm dash, she began, her voice anxious. Izuku looked at his right arm. It's slightly bruised with a small hue of purple. Safe. It'll heal, don't worry, nothing recovery girl won't be able to fix. Plus, with my insane stamina, I won't be affected by exhaustion from her quirk, Izuku secretly thought. Uraraka stared at his arm and its bulging muscles. She blushed slightly because the entire sleeve of his right arm was torn apart. The sight was dangerous to a maiden's heart. She averted her gaze shyly. Izuku wasn't focused on Uraraka. He turned to see the zero-pointer's massive body falling. Not good. The dirt will fly everywhere, and it will ruin his hair. He grabbed the girl and dashed out under her surprised yelp. He chose a safe area before setting her down. He talked with her as she kept on thanking him repeatedly and him reassuring her that it's okay and it's his duty as an aspiring hero. As the alarm signaling the end of the exam blared, Izuku leaned against a building. His body ached from the strain of using one for all at such a high percentage, but his heart was steady. He'd done what he set out to do. The other students gathered in the starting zone, some chatting excitedly about their performance, others looking dejected. Izuku kept to himself, replaying the day's events in his mind. He'd scored enough points to pass, he was more than sure of it. But more importantly, he'd acted like a hero, helping those who needed him. As he walked away from the testing grounds, he was met by an old lady, recovery girl. He sat down as she examined his body. So, you're Toshinor's successor? I see, he told you. Izuku didn't even try to act surprised. Well, he told me indeed. I regularly do checkups on his body after all, we tend to chat. Did I do well on the exam? You were reckless like him, but you did great. You should pass with flying colors. Good, it was fun. Stay still. As recovery girl's lips extended and kissed Izuku's hand, he felt his hand heal completely. Heh, no exhaustion. Thank you. Is there something wrong? Izuku was confused. Why is this woman staring like an idiot at him all of a sudden? Could it be that she was charmed? No way. Recovery girl was perplexed. Usually she takes energy from the body's cells to fix any wound in the body. As such, she has accurate knowledge about the stamina reserves in her patient, for if she took too much the cells will die, and the patient will die with them. Yet, when she healed this boy's arm by converting his own stamina to heal him, she was shocked. What a monstrous amount of life force. Recovery girl was certain she could use this boy's stamina to heal 250 broken, battered bodies before he tires. And the rate of which his stamina is restored. It's faster than he can deplete. Suddenly, the small young teen appears much more interesting than she first thought. Toshinori Chase well. You're perfectly healthy, dismissed. And no candy? Recovery girl was speechless. Maybe this one has more screws loose on his head than Toshinori himself. Izuku discreetly tried to take a candy bar from the jar while he saw recovery girl contemplating something. Get out! She watched as the boy exited in mock dejection. She usually gives candy to people so that they replenish their energy, but to this kid? She took the candy herself as she was the one who felt tired somehow. This'll be a long year. If only recovery girl knew how accurate her thought is. Chapter 8. Telling Bakugo about OFA. After the intense UA entrance exam, Izuku embraced the brief cool-down period, determined not to waste a second. His body ached from the exertion of pushing one for all to its limits, but his determination only grew stronger. With the system's lack of offensive abilities and the meta-knowledge of his world, he knew the journey ahead would only get tougher. He trained rigorously during the break, utilizing every ounce of his time and focus. His daily routine now included mastering different applications of One for All while blending his boxing techniques into a more comprehensive fighting style. He gained an extra 5% and reached 25%. One morning, during his sleep, a familiar dream played in his mind. Izuku stood in the void of One for All's vestiges, facing the grinning form of Daigoro Banjo, his wild personality as untamed as his energetic aura. Well, Banjo said, his deep voice brimming with excitement. Look who finally decided to show up. About time, Shashidto. I was starting to think you'd never get there. Izuku blinked in confusion but quickly collected himself. Banjo-san, this means... Yes, kid, Banjo smirked, waving his hand as black tendrils playfully danced from his fingers. Black Whip's my specialty. Those sweet tendrils will boost you immensely. It will make you a real powerhouse. I reckon that my quirk, Float, is the better one here. Nana Shimura walked into them with a playful challenging tune. No, you must be delulu here. My quirk is clearly superior for apprehending criminals, Banjo replied in a kind tune. A vein popped on Nana's forehead as she gave a fake smile. Why apprehend them when you can send them flying into stratosphere? It's most useful against elemental and close-range quirk users who need to use the elements like Overhaul. After all, air elemental quirks are rare. Rare my ass, they are literally clouding the goddamn sky like a fucking Chinese traffic. Don't you remember the Nomus? Move with the times, grandma. Just when Nana was about to resort to very kind language, Izuku opened his mouth. Could you two not fight in my head? I don't care what is stronger than what, just where are the others? The irritation on Izuku's face was clear. These two didn't argue in the original manga, but now here they are acting like children and shooting curses like the US Army shooting its bullets. That's because the original Izuku is a kid. You're not, so why hold back on words? Plus, we have your memories, and we know an argument was made on who has the most useful quirk. Nana replied stubbornly, ignoring his question. Walt, did you just call me a child in your thoughts? Wanna go at it, you green dwarf? Banjo was irritated. Izuku chose to tactfully not engage with Banjo as he replied to Nana, he has too much experience with Bakugo's kind. If we are speaking about the best, then it's arguably F.A. Gene. Still, he has an opinion as well to share. What about Danger Sense? It seems useful, Banjo said casually. A sound of rustling was heard in the distance. Get out of there, you bastard! Izuku screamed in irritation and rage. He was so done with these old immortals. A hand creeped out of the shadows. It gave the middle finger and disappeared into the shadows again. Fuck this shit! Izuku forcefully shattered the void and woke up. This is insane, Izuku whispered, mentally exhausted. This might be the time to tell All Might about Float and Black Whip. However, knowing how busy he is now with the evaluations of the students, he decided to delay it. He used 1% of OFA and activated Black Whip. It wiggled on his fingers. Gross, looks like tentacles from a hen. A week later, Izuku sat at the dining table with his mom. Inko nervously tapped her fingers against the wooden surface. The results of the UA exam was supposed to arrive today. Mom, stop tapping. You'll break the table, Izuku said gently, her voice tinged with helplessness. He had assured this woman countless times that he will pass, but here she is. Sorry, sweetle, Inko replied, offering a shaky smile. Just as Izuku was about to speak, the doorbell rang. Rushing to the door, Inko found a package with the UA logo on it. Her heart raced as she carried it back to the table, using her quirk to not touch it directly. Go on, open it, she urged, her excitement bubbling. She wanted to give him time to open it alone, but Izuku refused. Izuku was exasperated. He saw her treating the message like a sacred item as it hovered on her hand. Izuku unwrapped the package to reveal a small device. The moment he pressed the button, a hologram of Nezu appeared. Midoriya Izuku. Nezu's calm voice filled the room, making Inko fidget nervously. Congratulations! You've passed the UA entrance exam. Main quest, pass the entrance exam, complete. Reward, Speed 3. Enhances the speed of the user greatly. I wonder if it enhances my thought process. It should be. To move fast you have to think fast. Izuku grinned as Nezu explained the breakdown while showing scenes of his performance. You scored nearly perfect points on the written exam, which really surprised me, and an incredible 81 points on the practical exam, placing first overall in both tests. Your performance on the written and practical exam was simply outstanding. Side quest, score number 1 on the entrance exam, complete. Reward, King Engine, passive. Enhances user's strength by 10%. Generates a loud, thunderous heartbeat that intimidates enemies immensely. Fuck yeah, another 10%. Not only did you rack up points for defeating robots, but your selfless actions in helping other examinees earned you bonus rescue points. That's right, in this exam we had a secret rescue point system, and you have landed a perfect 80 out of 80 on the unanimous decision of all the teachers that observed your performance, landing you the highest point in the history of U.A with an enormous 161 points. Inko gasped, tears streaming down her face. My baby. My baby is number 1. Izuku laughed nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Mom, it's not that big of a deal, it's just a test. It is a big deal. Inko exclaimed, pulling him into a tight hug. You've worked so hard, Izuku. I'm so proud of you. As the hologram continued, Nezu mentioned the other top scorers. Bakugo had come in second with 78 points, followed by Kirishima in third with 39 points, Ochaku on fourth with 12 robot points and 20 rescue points, but what caught Izuku off guard was the mention of Hitoshi Shinso in 10th place. Shinso? Izuku muttered, frowning. He wasn't supposed to be here, right? Did my actions somehow influence the results? Oh well, who cares? Later that evening, Toshinori Yagi, Izuku and Inko were celebrating heartily. All Might drank the sake with glee as he chatted away with Inko. He wished for this moment to last forever as he saw the two laughing figures in front of him. He has seen too many miserable people and tried to do his best to bring hope and joy into their heart, yet when it came to his own heart, who will heal me while I try to heal the world? All Might looked at the figure of Inko and Izuku with deep yearning. He wished to be a hero in his youth, but now that he is nearing his late 40s, he desperately wished for a normal happy family of his own, someone to greet him with a warm meal and lots of pampering when he returns home. Ha! I got old and soft before I knew it. All Might drank some more. Just for tonight. I won't work tonight. I'll enjoy this moment as much as possible. I deserve this. A knock at the door interrupted their celebration. Izuku opened it to find none other than the Bakugo family standing on the porch. Mitsuki Bakugo, with her ever-confident smile, waved cheerfully. Masaru was standing behind her with a kind smile. Katsuki, however, stood near her, arms crossed and scowling. Midoriya. Congrats on getting into UA. Mitsuki said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. I knew you had it in you, you've worked so hard. Thank you, Mrs. Bakugo, Izuku stammered, stepping aside to let them in. Their visit was unexpected, that didn't happen in canon, another change made by him being here. Masaru Bakugo, Katsuki's father, followed quietly, offering a polite nod. Congratulations on scoring number 1, Izuku, 161 points, Katsuki has much to learn from you. He looked up to greet Inko but stood frozen. Excuse me, this is my sensei, Yagi Toshinori, he trained me before the test. Izuku hurriedly introduced. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Rakugo. The pleasure is mine, Toshinori-san. Come, let's drink. Haha, let's. Katsuki shoved his hands into his pockets, muttering under his breath. TCH, whatever, enjoy this win, nerd, the war is mine to win. Soon it was dinner time. It was lively and chaotic, thanks to Mitsuki's energetic personality. She showered Inko with compliments about Izuku while simultaneously scolding Katsuki for his lack of manners. Can't you at least pretend to be happy for him? Mitsuki snapped, flicking Katsuki's forehead. Why should? Katsuki growled, glaring at Izuku. He's not better than me. You could have helped other examinees in a proper hero fashion like Izuku here. What's that, you old hag? Shut up and eat your food, brat. Mitsuki barked, smacking him on the back of the head, causing his forehead to slam the table, making him clench his head in pain. All Might watched speechlessly. Masaru didn't even try to intervene. A wise man avoids a losing fight. He chatted with Toshinori as if nothing had happened. Izuku couldn't hold back his laughter. The Bakugo family dynamic was as entertaining as he remembered, and even Katsuki's scowling couldn't ruin the mood. He loved seeing Bakugo suffer. I like feisty women, she's a 10, Banjo said in his head. Izuku was helpless. Ever since that dream he now could hear them inside his head without needing the old world. She gave birth to Katsuki though, that's -10 for me still. Izuku had to express his opinion. Nana's silhouette nodded in agreement. After dinner, the adults kept chatting together as Katsuki dragged Izuku to his room, his expression dark. Izuku could tell this wasn't going to be a friendly chat, so he had a blank expression while being dragged away. All right, Deku, spill it, Katsuki demanded, slamming the door shut behind him. What the hell's going on with you? It's over, he knows. Zip it, Banjo, no use of references. Izuku raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Don't play dumb. You've got red freaky eyes now, and you're faster and stronger than you've ever been. And don't even get me started on you beating me in the exam. You must have cheated, you bastard. Katsuki's voice was a mix of anger and frustration. He slammed the desk hard. All this time you had a quirk and yet you never retaliated. You sick bastard. Did you enjoy it? Did you laugh at me in secret? All this time, this masochist, he never fought back. Using me for his sick sexual gratification. And there I was, taking it like an unknowing whore. Katsuki's thoughts raced with murderous intentions. Izuku felt like the air was thick with tension. You know, two boys alone in a room with a locked door. Only for the tension to be broken by a certain womanly silhouette. Izuku and Banjo looked at the silhouette of Nana and disdained. Nana, so help me God, I'll exorcise you if you say that shit again. TSK, the fandom demands it, don't judge me. Izuku contemplated if he should tell Katsuki. He knew him, as foul as his mouth was. He knew how to keep a secret. Keeping him in the dark will only complicate things. He'll find out eventually anyway. He was too perceptive after all. Izuku sighed, rubbing his temples. Fine, you want the truth? Katsuki crossed his arms, waiting. He honestly didn't feel ready, but fuck it. Izuku pulled out his phone and swiped through his photo gallery. He handed it to Katsuki, showing pictures of him training with All Might on the beach. He watched Bakugo scrolling through his phone silently. What's this supposed to prove? Katsuki asked, frowning in shock. All Might himself trained Deku, 7. Why him? Wasn't he better? Isn't that what everyone kept telling him? All Might's been training me. I've inherited his quirk one for all and became his successor, Izuku said simply. He saw potential in me and decided to help me prepare for UA. That's why I've changed. What bullshit is this? Are you mocking me? How the fuck can you send quirks to other people? Bakugo stared at him in disbelief. Keep scrolling, there are photos of previous users of OFA before All Might that I screenshot from various articles online. It's a quirk that grows stronger with each generation. I'm the 9th, and the last. Hey kid, are you sure about telling him? Nana spoke in his mind, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Trust me. If you say so. Katsuki stared at the photos for a long moment before shoving the phone back at Izuku. That still doesn't explain your eyes or how you're suddenly so damn good at fighting. Izuku hesitated, then said, I've been experiencing weird enhancing effects to my body ever since one took the power of OFA. The eyes help me read the movements of my opponents. If you don't bellied me, that's your problem. Katsuki clenched his fists but didn't argue further. Instead, he felt kinda relieved as his biggest fear didn't become true, so he turned and stormed out of the room. Don't think for a second that this changes anything between us, Deku. I'm still going to be number 1. Izuku watched him go, a small smile tugging at his lips as he saw the silhouette of Banjo giving his departing back the middle finger. A few days later, Izuku stood in front of the massive gates of UA High School. The building loomed before him, a symbol of the future he'd been striving for. His heart swelled with determination as he tightened his grip on the strap of his bag. "This is it," he muttered to himself. "The start of my journey as a hero." With a deep breath, he entered the school. Chapter 9. First day at U.A, Aiza was speechless. Izuku stepped into Class 1A with an even stride. He found his classroom with a bit of struggle as this school was huge. He opened the huge classroom door. Must be for size-enhancing quirk users, how considerate. Izuku couldn't agree more with the floating silhouette of Nana, having more than one brain held. Its merits. His gaze scanned the spacious room. It was surreal to finally be standing in the same classroom he had seen countless times in the anime. Yet, the familiarity didn't dull the significance of this moment. Keep it cool, kid, don't engage with the explosive guy on the first day, first impressions are important. Don't worry, Banjo, I know what I'm doing, I learned from my last encounter with him and Uraraka. Izuku was thankful for their considerations, but having All Might as his mentor was a pain and a half. Now he is stuck with his mentor's mentor and those that came before him. I heard that. I know, Nana, it was intentional. The classroom was already lively. Ito was chastising Bakugo, gesticulating wildly about the need for proper decorum, while Bakugo simply stared at him with his trademark scowl. The blonde's sharp eyes flickered toward Izuku for a moment before narrowing. Izuku ignored the interaction entirely, walking to an empty seat and setting down his bag. He chose the seat near the window, the main character seat in most romance school anime. What, you got a main character complex? Nana, I'm literally inhabiting the body of the main character. Good point. He turned to the rest of the class and introduced himself with a polite smile. Hi, I'm Izuku Midoriya. I hope we all have a great year together. His introduction was met with varying reactions. Most students nodded or muttered polite greetings, but one voice stood out. You're the guy who got first place in the practical exam, right? Izuku turned to see Momo Yaoyorozu, the tall, composed girl with a confident demeanor. Her words carried a mix of curiosity and respect. She must have remembered the name of the number one. Oh damn, she looks 20. Can it, Banjo, she's 15. Hey, I didn't say anything weird. You didn't have to. Yeah, that's me, Izuku replied, scratching the back of his neck habitually. He really couldn't handle praise very well. Ah, you're like Chopper but uglier. Izuku seriously began to consider the idea of exorcising Nana. You must be very talented, Momo said, offering him a small smile. That was an impressive feat. The difference between the first and the second is very clear. Izuku ignored the burning glare of Bakugo. Before Izuku could respond, he was approached by a cheerful blonde. Denki Kaminari grinned at him. Man, you've got to tell me how you did it. Taking down a zero-pointer? Everyone was talking about you, that's wild. It's not as flashy as it sounds, Izuku said modestly, though his inward thoughts told a different story. He quickly turned the conversation back on Kaminari, avoiding the limelight. Dude, brag a little, you sound fake. Could you two just get a fucking hobby already? Not a chance. We're stuck in an empty black void with nothing to do, deal with it. Izuku suppressed a groan. Soon, he found himself chatting with a small group. Uraraka, the girl he had saved during the exam, was as bubbly as ever, thanking him again. Kirishima clapped him on the back, calling his actions super manly. With a burst of pink energy. Mina Ishido, with her bright smile and carefree attitude, waved enthusiastically as she stopped in front of him. Near her were floating clothes. Oh, I remember her from your memories. She's a cutie, Izuku. Maybe in the future she will learn to control her invisibility, Nana said as she eyed Toru. No, I already have a girl in mind. Hey, Midoriya, right? Mina asked, tilting her head. The guy who crushed the zero-pointer and topped the exam? Izuku blinked, slightly taken aback by her energy. Yeah. That's me. So, she was in the same exam area as you, Izuku Nana said with interest. Man, you're, like, a total beast. Mina exclaimed, hands on her hips. Everyone's been talking about how you went full hero mode back there. You used a robot to destroy a robot. That's like hunting two birds without a stone. What's your secret? Do you have some crazy cool quirk or something? Izuku hesitated for a moment before offering a sheepish smile. It's not that special. Just a physically enhancing quirk. Mina raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. Pfft, modest much? I saw you during the practical. You were awesome. She leaned in slightly, grinning. But seriously, tell me, how'd you unleash such a scary attack? Izuku scratched the back of his neck nervously. I guess I just focused on what I needed to do. People were in trouble, and I couldn't ignore them. Mina's grin widened. A genuine hero, huh? I like that. You're gonna be fun to have around, Midoriya-san. She gave him a thumbs up before bouncing away, leaving Izuku slightly flustered but amused. Izuku, eye on the prize, focus on Ochaku, remember her future potential. Right, thank you, Banjo-san. Nana rolled her eyes. Well, he muttered to himself, watching her join the others, surprised with her amazing social bar. She's got energy, that's for sure. However, Izuku's surprise peaked when Hitoshi Shinso walked into the room. The purple hatred boy scanned the class with purpose until his eyes landed on Izuku, and a wide grin broke across his face. Midoriya-san. Shinso greeted warmly as he ignored everyone else and striding over to him. Izuku wasn't surprised that he knew his name. He must have read it on the practical exam score. They included a small picture with the name after all. Man, I expected to see you here. Thanks again for helping me during the exam. I owe you a huge one. Izuku chuckled and waved it off. You don't owe me anything. You earned your spot here, Shinso. Bullshit, he wouldn't be here if not for your intervention. I reckon someone told me first impressions are important. Their conversation was easy, Shinso's gratitude evident as he spoke about how Izuku's intervention had boosted his confidence. However, Izuku remained careful, not acting too happy at the praise. They ended up exchanging their line contact. Finally, a friend at last. Nana spoke happily. She was beginning to think that Izuku is a hopeless shut-in. While all this was happening, Izuku skillfully avoided engaging with Lita, Bakugo, or Todoroki. He could feel Bakugo's heated gaze boring into the back of his head, but he paid it no mind. It's not like I want to be with you on the same class, you blonde bastard. The noise in the room died down when Aizawa entered, or rather, slithered in like a giant, grumpy caterpillar inside his sleeping bag. The sight startled some students, but Izuku wasn't fazed, having expected this. I'm Aizawa Shoyuta, your homeroom teacher. Get into gym clothes and follow me in less than 10 minutes to the training grounds, Aizawa said flatly, his voice carrying no room for argument. The group moved to the outdoor training field, where Aizawa had prepared a series of physical tests. The class buzzed with anticipation as they gathered near the designated area. Izuku, you have a new quest, Nana said with interest. I know, the information is fed directly into my head, I don't have to see it. Lucky you, I wish that I had a system. Maybe after you die. I already am, idiot. Then maybe after you reincarnate. Maybe. I still have some unfinished business with AFO though, so that's for later. Got it. Izuku entered the changing room in a hurry. He knew how much Aizawa hated wasting time. Whoa, dude, you've got a manly body. Izuku felt the eyes of the boys on his upper body. Thank you, Kirishima, your body is in a great condition too. Izuku quickly changed into his gym clothes and hurried out. Izuku arrived at the track slightly behind Tita, who turned to him as he approached. Midoriya, Lita said, adjusting his glasses with a respectful nod. I must commend your actions during the exam. Your decision to destroy the zero-pointer and save that girl was a true act of heroism. Meanwhile, I ran away. Lita's expression turned serious. That's why I've decided to make you my rival. I'll work harder to match your courage and resolve. OL kid, I don't like this guy for some reason, he's too rigid. Banjo's silhouette kept poking Lita's head aggressively, but his hand kept phasing through. Same, he seems to not understand the word fun. Izuku shook Lita's hand with a chuckle, appreciating the gesture. I'm looking forward to it, Tita. Let's push each other to be better. As the rest of the class gathered, Aiza began explaining the day's activity, the Quirk apprehension test. 50 meters dash, Izuku scored first with 0.8 seconds. The entire class looked at him like he just did some witchcraft. Lita looked lost as he had scored 3.02 seconds and coming at second. No way, he was beaten in his own specialty. Izuku couldn't help but smirk as he saw the full potential of Speed 3 with OFA 25%. I'm practically a speedster. Next, grip strength test. OFA 30%. Izuku heard a cracking sound and looked down to see the device broken. Hey, he laughed sheepishly. Shoji looked at Izuku, who bested him again, and couldn't help but think that some people were blessed. Next, standing long jumps. Izuku decided to turn off OFA and use his Speed 3 ability for this one. He had scored first again, followed by Bakugo. Damn nerd! This isn't over. Next, ball throwing test. Midoriya, since you placed first in the entrance exam, you'll go first, Aiza said, tossing a ball to him. The class watched as Izuku caught the ball, his mind racing with possibilities. He turned it over in his hands, feeling the weight of it. This is my chance to show what I can do. With the ball in his hand, Izuku stepped up to the throwing circle, the attention of Class 1A squarely on him. Don't use your quirk. I understand. Izuku clenched the ball and threw it the best he can without OFA. Asterisk 98.2 meters, good score, now use your quirk. Aiza tossed him another ball. Izuku held the ball contemplating. Aiza Sensel. What? Are you not ready? No, it's just... It'll probably sound really loud, so if there is someone with a hearing-enhancing quirk or has sensitive ears, please plug your ears. You're such a gentleman, Izuku nanakued and poked his nose. Hero Aura activated. I should have known better than to trust you. You did it to activate the boost, didn't you? As expected, you're scum after all. Nana looked down at him with disdain. I did it for her too, you know. Scum. Wait, I have a hearing quirk. Let me put some plugs. A girl Izuku recognized as Kyokujiro spoke hurriedly. She seemed to have ear plugs on her at all times. Okay, go on, thanks for the warning. Izuku nodded. Brace yourselves, everyone. Hearing his warning, the students fidgeted nervously and Aiza frowned and decided to fix his lazy posture just in case. OFA 35%. Izuku took a deep breath and threw the ball as hard as he physically can. It is worth mentioning that current Izuku's 35% is not like the normal 35% of the original. His body was boosted by Speed 3, which granted him an unimaginable speed boost. Izuku himself doesn't know his limits. And now it was mixed with a 10% increase, reaching 45%. As such, an explosion so massive like a pressurized air bomb erupted from him. The wind pressure was so intense that Aiza was struggling to remain on the ground while crouching. The monitor beeped wildly in his hand. Shoto's stoic expression shifted as he used an ice shield to anchor himself, his hair scattered wildly in the wind. Bakugo extended his hands to shield himself as the wind pressure pulled on his face backwards violently. He simply couldn't close his mouth. Kirishima hardened his legs and dug into the ground to protect himself and Mina, who was hiding behind him. He formed an X with his hands to appear manly. Shoji's hands held into two students as he anchored them with his sturdy body. Many other students desperately held onto anything to anchor themselves. Shinso was directly against the wall with many other students. They couldn't hear anything besides the howling wind and their ears ringing. They were blown away by his throw, literally and figuratively. Aiza's ears rang as he watched speechlessly. 3 sonic booms were heard from the sky. It was so loud that many students in U.A stared at the sky curiously. Even All Might, who had been watching everything secretly, was lost. My retirement is nearing. All Might thought of his retirement and how he would spend it, but a certain green kind figure of a woman popped up in his mind. He shook his head and left to not be spotted. Izuku lowered his hand slowly, his hair scattered by the intensity of the wind pressure. He looked at Aiza and the other students as they stared at the sky. Aiza watched the number go up and up until they reached a stable number. *7,987 meters. The students simply chose to not comment on this, just comparing themselves to Izuku was despairing to them. Lita looked lost. Rivals? What rivals? He simply lost the desire to compete against him, so this is the school where the best of the best attended. This one is who you have to beat. Work hard to not let him leave you in the dust. Still, Aizawa's words awakened their fighting spirit. Yet, did Aizawa himself believe his own words? No. There is a limit to what hard work and talent can achieve. People are not born equal. He looked at Izuku's figure. Some are born to be strong. Aizawa eyed Izuku's hand and saw that there was no injury. He nodded, satisfied. He has read that Izuku's final attack on the zero-pointer had caused some injuries via recovery. Gert's report card, yet here he is after only 2 weeks since the exam with an amazing progress. Fascinating, he's gifted with huge potential. Aizawa couldn't help but think that this student was a strong contender for future #1 position. All this power at such a young age, imagine his power in his adulthood. Power, absolute overwhelming power. What fire Quirk? What copying Quirk? Only absolute power is needed. All Might prove that to everyone. Aizawa looked at the kid and imagined the silhouette of All Might behind him. He used the scarf to hide his smirk as he thought of being the mentor of the future #1. Next, Katsuki Bakugo, one without a quirk, one with dye. 89 meters. Dye. 893 meters. Some murmurs were heard, but Izuku couldn't help but think that they were murmurs of disapproval at Bakugo's style and use of words, followed closely by begrudging amazement. I want to go next. Kirishima spoke loudly. This is kind of fun, Mina said with excitement. Fun? You think this is fun? Very well, let's make it truly fun. The one who scores last is expelled. Some more murmurs of worry broke. Izuku ignored them. Don't worry, Shinso, it's a play to push us and make us take it seriously. Izuku spoke into Shinso's. Here. I see, so that's how it is. That makes sense. You're smart, Midoriya. Next, Ochaku Uraraka. Why yes. 57 meters. Now with Quirk. Aizawa simply chose to show the students the reader to see themselves. What? Infinity. No way. Yorozu Momo. Yes. 63 meters. Aizawa watched as she created a cannon. He plugged his ear this time. He learned from his previous mistake. Psst, Izuku whispered. Jiro looked at him, confused. Izuku motioned for his ears and plugged them with his finger. Oh! Thanks again. Jiro blushed slightly. See, I'm not scum. Nana shook her head. With a loud deafening explosion, the ball soared into the sky. *850 meters. Izuku felt helpless. No way, that's a fucking cannon. An average one could go from 15 to 30,000 meters. Momo made a light version of a cannon and still bested him. I need more strength. More. The fire in Izuku's eyes burned endlessly like a scorching blazing hell. It threatened to consume the world itself. Here are your results. You're dismissed for today. Official classes start tomorrow, Aizawa said, showing them the results. No. Toru began to cry as she saw her name on the last 20 slot. Oh, I lied. No one is getting expelled. Aizawa hid his sadistic smirk under his scarf as he saw the girl give him a relieved look. He took the results and left. The entire class stared at him. It's expected. He wanted us to push ourselves and take it seriously? Shinso said. The others looked at him and he somehow fidgeted nervously as he wasn't used to being the center of attention. And Midoriya, isn't that right? Correct. but I heard that he expelled an entire class last year because he saw no potential in them, so he might have actually considered expelling anyone who he deemed not worthy or without potential in them. Luckily we passed his tests." The class heard Izuku's words and shuddered slightly. It seems like they have to take everything seriously from now on. On a different note, who wants to get to know each other? Let's go have fun at the arcade. The class looked at Izuku's cheerful demeanor for a while. I want to. Mina spoke first. If you won't mind, Midoriya, I want to hang out as well. Shinso spoke hesitantly. He wanted to change, to embrace a new life in this high school, to make friends. Real tag along. Shop's voice was calm. I want to try the dance machine. Mina spoke as she jumped happily with Toru while holding their hands. Toru was in a great mood as she had evaded expulsion somehow. I'll come, Midoriya-chan. Izuku heard a croaking sound at the end of Asel's sentence. He watched as everyone joined together except for some. Shoto left without a word. Rude little Banjo's words were interrupted by Bakugo's small explosion as he was being himself. After he expressed his opinions on everyone who wasted his time, he left and called them extras. That guy's a dick. The entire class turned to look at Tsuyu Asel. They were all shocked by her brutal honesty, but even Uraraka herself nodded in agreement. Izuku spent his afternoon doing multiple fun activities with his friends. He felt his bond strengthen with them all, and he danced with joy with Mina and Toru for the first time with people that he considered friends, played a racing car game with Shinso, who beat him mercilessly. A whack-a-mole with Ochaku. He won that one and got many tickets. He ended up buying a teddy bear and giving it to Uraraka, who took it with a blushing face. A guitar game with Jiro. He lost that one as well, but got closer with everyone, and that was his main goal. His laughter was echoing through the hall. This was his reward for his hard work, and Hal enjoyed it immensely. Nedzu-sensei, this is the requested report I have gathered for Class 1A. As you have predicted before, Izuku Midoriya got number 1 at almost everything. Aizawa entered the principal's office and spoke calmly. I see. Well done for the hard work, Aizawa-kun. Please have a good day. Nedzu's voice was sweet, but his eyes eyed the files critically. As Aizawa exited, he browsed through them all and found 4 students that caught his attention. Shoto Todoroki, Bakugo Katsuki, Hitoshi Shinso, Momo Yaoyorozu, and finally, Izuku Midoriya. Nedzu muttered as the door was knocked. The only person who knocks his door in this building before entering is him, All Might. Enter. Toshiku and Nedzu watched as All Might in his frail form entered bashfully. Nedzu-sensei, I wanted. I understand, he's your successor after all. Come, I was about to review it anyway. All Might nodded in appreciation and sat beside the Mousebear Chimera. He scored first on the 50 meters dash, 0.8 seconds. All Might watched speechlessly. His top score in his peak was no more than 0.2, yet here is Izuku, approaching his peak in his young years. The difference between the 8th and the 9th user of OFA is simply on another level. You've pushed OFA to a new heights. Toshikun, as if reading his mind, Nedzu answered. Yes, his speed of progress is on another level indeed. Well, he scored first overall on everything, even on his written exam. He's simply perfect. Nedzu spoke happily. He thought that he had to talk to Midoriya himself someday. Midoriya Izuku requires a special program. All Might kept looking and browsing the report of both Izuku and Katsuki. He eventually hummed in satisfaction. Thank you, Nedzu-sensei. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to work. All Might spoke as he walked to the door. Steam oozed out and he started growing bigger. Midoriya boy is working hard. As his mentor and hero, I simply can't fall behind. Take care, All Might. Chapter 10. Battle trials begin. Bakugo humbled. The next morning, the students of Class 1A gathered in their classroom, only to be greeted by a towering presence at the door. I'm going through the door like a normal person. All Might stood there, his signature smile radiating confidence and inspiration. The room erupted with cheers and murmurs of excitement as their beloved hero entered. Good morning, Class 1A. All Might's voice boomed. Today, we'll be doing a special combat training session, with me as your instructor. The announcement caused a wave of energy to ripple through the room. Everyone couldn't wait to see what was in store. All Might motioned for them to follow him, leading the group to Ground Beta, the familiar mock city used in the entrance exams. As they arrived, a collection of lockers was revealed, each containing their customized hero costumes. The students quickly suited up, excitement in the air as they stepped out one by one, showcasing their unique styles and personas. Izuku looked at his costume with mixed emotions. It was a slight upgrade to his original concept, incorporating modern materials and a sleeker design, but it had the same designer, his mom. She simply was too excited after he told her that he awakened his quirk. After a quick quirk registration with the help of All Might's knowledge, she spent many days weaving him a hero suit. Eventually she made it almost the same but without the ears and added a plastic mask. Izuku decided to keep this suit as a memorial after he requests a suit from the support department. How nice, I wish my mom's still alive, the silhouette of Banjo spoke with yearning and emotion. May she rest in pieces, Banjo-san. Thank you, Shimura-cha. You said pieces? You said pieces just now, you demonic bitch. Era, you're imagining things, Banjo-san. Oi Izuku, she said pieces, right? Sorry, I wasn't listening, I was just enjoying being the only one who is not motherless. X2. Once everyone was ready, All Might began explaining the day's activity. Heroes. All Might's voice carried authority and enthusiasm. Today's exercise is a battle trial, focusing on indoor combat scenarios. In real life, many conflicts take place inside buildings, where civilians are often in harm's way. You'll be split into teams of 2, heroes and villains. The hero's objective is to secure the bomb or subdue the villains, while the villains must protect it or neutralize the heroes until the countdown ends. Teamwork and strategy are key. The students nodded, their determination evident as they hung onto his every word, absorbing it like a sponge. The battle will take place in Ground Beta, where we set up several indoor locations, All Might continued. Villains, you'll have time to strategize and set up defenses before the heroes enter. Heroes, your task is to infiltrate and succeed without getting caught. A question popped up from the group. What happens if we go too far with damage? Asked Tita, adjusting his glasses. All Might's smile remained, but his tone grew serious. Remember, being a hero isn't about showing off your power. If you destroy too much, you're putting civilians in danger. That will be taken into account. The class nodded again, the stakes of the exercise sinking in. As everyone paired up, Izuku found himself talking to Shinso, who stood to the side with his usual calm demeanor. This test seems straightforward, Shinso commented, his eyes flickering to Izuku. But I get the feeling you're going to make a big impression again. Izuku chuckled lightly. Just doing my best, Shinso. What about you? Shinso smiled faintly. I've got Momo on my team. I'll make it work, but seriously, your quirk is basically built for physical confrontation. It's not that versatile, I simply punch really hard, compared with other special quirks it's not that great. Cough, bullshit, cough. STFU, Banjo. Not that great? Are you serious? I wish my quirk was like yours. Oh yeah? And what's your quirk? It's a bit creepy. Don't worry, you know me enough to know that I don't judge others easily. Cap. Banjo if you don't shut the foo. True, well, it's mind control, it works via sound. Holy shit. That's so cool, you could pair it up with a sound mimicking device to confuse villains. And subdue them. Huh, I never thought about it like that, you're really smart, Midoriya. Haha, call me Izuku. Oh, okay. The first few matches went off as expected, with students showcasing their quirks and strategies. When it was Shinso and Momo's turn, Shinso's quick thinking came into play. Yaoyorozu-san, he said, looking at her with an analytical gaze. Can you create a sound recording and replicating device? Momo though for a second and nodded confidently. Of course. But why? My quirk works via sound, it's mind control. Oh, that's clever thinking, Shinso-san. Thanks, but it's Midoriya's idea, he's really smart. Midoriya. Momo's opinion of Izuku Midoriya was that he was simply a promising hero, but as she remembered how he beat her in the written exam, she couldn't help but be impressed. He has the brain and the brawn. Interesting guy. As she worked, Shinso outlined his plan. Once it's ready, I want you to taunt the villains. Say something provocative. If they respond verbally, I'll handle the rest. Momo smirked, understanding his strategy. Got it. So his quirk requires a response. With the device complete, the test started. Shinso and Yaoyorozu ran into the building. Momo held a small sound bomb and multiple flashbangs. Kyokujiro hid in the second floor with the bomb while Denki Kaminari intercepted them. Upon seeing the two, Denki directly used a powerful current of electricity to attack them. Momo reacted quickly and an insulated blank coated her and Shinso. Is that all you got? Momo taunted. I've only just began. Shinso adjusted his device after he recorded their voices. Your attack was weak, Kaminari-kun. Then try to block T-**Denki's entire body froze. Where is the bomb? Shinso got out of the blanket and spoke calmly. It's on the second floor. First room. Yaoyorozu-san. Yes. Momo created a rope to shackle Kaminari. Shinso dashed to the second floor, a flashbang and a small sound bomb in his two hands. He threw them into the first room and blocked his ears and eyes. Gyro looked at the two rolling devices that were approaching her in confusion. She has never seen something like this. The bombs were disguised as toys. A bright light attacked her eyes, followed by a loud deafening wave. She clutched her ears as the bright light caused her eyes to cry and close shut tightly. She fell down in pain. Shinso dashed in and touched the bomb. Their victory was clean and efficient, earning praise from All Might. Now, who was the MVP? All Might asked. Clearly it's Yaoyorozu-san. She made the disguised sound bombs. The mimicking sound device, the flashbangs and the rope to shackle Kaminari. While Shinso did well with his plan, he simply relied heavily on Yaoyorozu-san's help and the element of surprise. You sound like a nerd, Banjo said casually. Can't argue with that. Her quirk is very versatile. If I had it, I'd create guns 24/7. You've got the heart of a true American, kid. I had many American friends in my past life, especially black people. I know where this is going, and no, you can't say the N-word. TSK. Correct observation, young Midoriya. The MVP was Momo Yaoyorozu. All Might watched his student with pride. Izuku was quite perceptive. He was smart. As expected of the ninth, I simply can't compare. Finally, it was Izuku and Uraraka's turn to face off against Lita and Bakugo. The moment the battle started, Bakugo charged at Izuku like a raging storm. His palms exploded with fiery blasts as he closed the distance. Uraraka, go ahead, I've got this. Be careful. You think you're so great, huh? Bakugo snarled, his eyes blazing with fury. Topping the exam? Acting all cool, you're still the same damn Deku to me? Izuku didn't respond, keeping his focus razor sharp as he dodged Bakugo's attacks with ease using Sharingan. He could see each muscle movement in slow motion and predict his attacks. Bakugo's mind raced as he attacked relentlessly. He's different now, he's stronger. Smarter. I can't hold back, not against him. His muscles tensed as he launched a particularly massive explosion, aiming to catch Izuku off guard. He pulled the trigger on his gauntlet with a dangerous smirk. Careful, kid, your hair might burn. Don't worry, Nana-san, I'm flicking small attacks with my fingers to push the heat. Good thinking, always protect the head. All Might frowned. He had told them about avoiding property damage, but Bakugo ignored his warning. But Izuku had been preparing for this. Using One for All, he darted to the side with lightning speed, countering with a powerful punch aimed at Bakugo's side. OFA 496. Light impact. Bakugo barely managed to block it, the force of the impact sending him skidding back and going through a wall. You've improved, Izuku admitted, his voice calm yet firm as he walked towards him slowly. Shut up. Bakugo growled, launching himself forward again, ignoring the pain. The clash between them grew more intense, with Bakugo's explosions lighting up the darkened building. Izuku's hero aura subtly took effect, increasing his stamina and resilience while slightly dampening Bakugo's confidence. It was a brutal, close-quarters fight. Bakugo was giving it his all. Yet, Izuku has decided that he has had enough. He was on a time limit. He punched him hard with 79%, sending him out of the entire building and knocked him into dreamland. Stay down, Bakugo, you fought hard. Izuku looked at his surroundings and the destruction his fight with Bakugo had caused. Fuck it. Izuku, remember Toshi's warning about the property damage? Nana quickly interjected. I don't care anymore. I'm done with this nonsense. The explosions gave me a headache. Ofa 25%. With a precise movement, he unleashed a punch directly into the ceiling above them. The mighty blow caused the building to tremble, chunks of debris falling and scattering everywhere. In the chaos, Uraraka seized her chance. She picked up a huge pillar, floated it and slammed it into Lita, sending him sprawling. Ah! She smacked him with a fucking pillar. Banjo's laughter was infectious. Izuku evaded the falling debris and watched as she reached out and touched the bomb, securing victory for their team. The buzzer sounded, signaling the end of the match. Main quest, pass the battle trials, complete. Reward, weapon, playful cloud. The stronger the user is, the stronger this weapon hits. Side quest, remain uninjured, complete. Reward, charm 2. Enhances the user's charm moderately. Will take 7 days for full integration. Oh shit, Izuku! You got playful cloud. Banjo's voice was boiling with excitement. This thing is basically made for you, Nana quickly interjected. I'm happier about the charm 2 thing. I'll basically become perfect. Strength, smarts and looks. Imagine if I got charm 3, that'd make me basically a freaking god among men. Calm down, Romeo, you're still bitchless. Meh, let him enjoy it, at least he'll look good while getting the shit beaten out of him by that. Nomu. And didn't you say you had a Juliet? Speaking of Juliet, Nana interrupted the two's musing and made them focus on the oncoming girl. Uraraka bounced from the second floor, her feet nimble and her movement unbound by gravity. We did it, Deku. Her face was absolutely thrilled. Ha 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 ha. She called you Deku. And she said it with an absolutely thrilled face. Ha ha ha. I'm exorcising you too someday. Call me Izuku, Uraraka-san, that nickname means useless. Uraraka's face showed surprise. Oh. She stammered. I thought it meant capable since it was close to Dekairu. She lowered her head with guilt. Ah, she's so freaking cute. Izuku ignored the internal screaming of Nana, although even he was critically injured by the cute girl's guilty face. Haha, don't worry about it, Uraraka-san, no harm is done. Okay. Izuku. Uraraka twirled with her fingers as she said his first name shyly. Ah, Nana lost her control and collapsed. But still. Playful cloud, huh? Banjo mused while touching his chin. Izuku remembered how terrifying this 3-section staff is in JJK and how it works without the need for cursed energy. The JJK universe is on another level. A one-finger Sukuna will mop all the people in this verse, not even debatable, except for a specific few like Shigaraki Tamura after getting his body modified. Dismantle and Fuga is one thing, domain expansion is another, and fucking centuries of hand-to-hand combat experience. Izuku looked at the icon of Playful Cloud in his system storage. I have to admit, this is my trump card. With this I'll humble that Nomu. The students gathered back outside as All Might reviewed their performances. While he has some critiques towards Izuku, he forgave him since he was the MVP. He commended Izuku and Uraraka for their teamwork and ingenuity. Bakugo, back to you. You caused too much destruction and failed to defeat the heroes. You failed the test. Izuku's chest swelled with pride, but he kept his expression modest. He glanced at Bakugo, who stood off to the side, his fists clenched tightly as he glared at the ground. Oi Izuku, I think you went overboard on the kid. Nana's figure floated near his head with a frown. He would have done the same to me. He unleashed 2 massive gauntlet bombs at me. You're older and wiser, be the bigger person. I'd rather be the problem. And just like that, the day ended with Izuku and Uraraka walking to the train station together into their home. After all, Ochaka's home was on the same route. Izuku returned home and saw a note from his mom on the fridge. He read it quickly. Izuku, sweetie, I decided to spend some time at the gym to have a fresh breath. Dinner is ready, just heat it. I'll be back in a couple of hours. Nana. Yes? My mother never went to gym before. Explain this, please. You're a woman after all. Isn't it obvious? She's trying to improve herself. But why? That didn't happen in canon, Banjo interjected. Could it be? Good guess. Why would she do that otherwise? That's crazy. Are you okay with this? Izuku Banjo said, surprised. I support it. She deserves happiness. Yagi-sensei also deserves it as well. Izuku heated the food, put on his earbuds, turned on the music and started doing push-ups again. More. I need to grow stronger. USJ is close. I can't allow AFO to harm my potential father. To let him set his eyes on my mother. To let him destroy all of Japan like in canon. 198. 723. 4,820. 13,009. Izuku spent a long time doing push-ups. He used his speed 3 to its maximum potential to go as fast as possible. His stamina 3 helped him immensely. With that, Izuku slept soundly after greeting his mother and taking a shower. Izuku opened his eyes in the void, the figure of Nana and Banjo beside him. He groaned not again. A lean man with short, beige hair that parts away from the base of his forehead, and thin, green eyes that slant slightly downward. He had 2 scar-like cracks stretching from the left side of his forehead down to his chin. You are... Izuku tried to remember his name from the anime but failed. I'm the 4th user of OFA, Heikage Shinomori. I'm honored to finally meet you, Shashidto-kun. Chapter 11. Bakugo training with Izuku, Danger Sense. The void was endless. A blank, swirling expanse of gray mist stretched infinitely in every direction. Izuku found himself standing in its center, a faint green glow encircling him. Before him stood the 4th user of One for All, Heikage Shinomori, his hardened eyes fixed on Izuku. Beside Heikage stood Daigoro Banjo, the spirited 5th user, with his signature grin and easygoing demeanor. With Nana Shimura the 7th, her face was hardened. I can feel it, Heikage began, his voice low and measured. The echoes of your efforts. You're progressing faster than any of us expected, but speed alone isn't enough. You must refine your instincts. Danger Sense isn't just a quirk, it's a lifeline. Daigoro crossed his arms, leaning back casually. And Black Whip isn't just for flashy moves, kid. Control is everything. Without it, you'll be more of a hazard than a hero. Just like Daigoro here. Heikage nodded and added. Heikage and Daigoro suddenly sprang into action, their quirks activating in unison. Black tendrils shot from Daigoro's arms, snaking toward Heikage, who nimbly dodged, as Danger Sense guided his every movement. Their sparring intensified, each strike and counter flowing seamlessly. Izuku watched, mesmerized, as he felt their power of Danger Sense. Izuku, my grandson, Tamura will come soon. Izuku turned to Nana Shimura and... Please. Real try to go easy on him, he's a problem though, so saving him will be later? You'll need this, Heikage suddenly said, his voice cutting through the haze. U.SJ is coming, and you'll face something terrifying. Stay vigilant, Shashidto. Call me Izuku, Heikage-san, and thank you. Izuku took the flowing orb in his hand, Danger Sense acquired. The void dissipated, and Izuku awoke with a sharp intake of breath. The whispers of his predecessors lingered as he sat up, fire filling his veins, making him rise with strength. I'm running out of time. Izuku hoped for anything that can enhance his endurance so that he can go 100% and above, but the system gave him speed 3, stamina 3, and charm 2. One day, for sure I'll get endurance 3. The buzzing of clippers filled the small barbershop. Izuku sat in the chair, staring at himself in the mirror as the barber worked carefully on his hair. The result was striking shorter, neater, and slightly spiked. His new look was modern yet retained an air of natural charm. The Genos hairstyle? Really? Hikage said with a bored tone. He got that shit on though. I personally prefer longer hair. Unbeknownst to him, Charm 2 had begun to take full effect. Over the past few days, Izuku noticed the change in the way people looked at him. Walking through the streets of Mizufu, heads turned. Some passers-by whispered, others stole glances. Izuku, though modest by nature, couldn't ignore it. Must be the new muscles, he muttered to himself, tugging nervously at his collar. Yet deep down, he could feel it. Charm 2 wasn't just physical, it was an aura that amplified his presence like hero. Aura. The classroom was quiet as Izuku and Kirishima pored over their notebooks. The class break gave them some rare free time, and Kirishima had asked Izuku for help with his studies. Man, you're like a walking encyclopedia, Kirishima said, scratching his head. How do you remember all of this? Izuku chuckled, his Sharingan flashed briefly as he scanned the textbook. Just a knack for studying, I guess. Soon, a few girls joined them, drawn by Izuku's confidence and easy explanations. Mina Shashidto plopped down beside him, grinning, "Wow, Midoriya. You're like the ultimate tutor." Jiro leaned over his shoulder, talking very close to his ear. Seriously, how do you make this stuff sound so simple? Izuku blushed with a forced smile, he was not used to girls getting this close to him in both his lives. Bitchless behavior, Banjo spoke in disdain. I agree with Daigoro-san here. How will you fight female villains? Hikage spoke, nodding. 2 lives a virgin, just sad, Nana added insult to injury. What's that? I couldn't hear you over the sound of my beating heart, you know, since I'm actually alive and all of that. But I guess you wouldn't understand that. Izuku returned his attention into his classmates. It's not that hard. You just need to break it down into smaller steps. As he continued to teach, the group listened intently, laughing occasionally at his jokes. Kirishima gave him a thumbs up. You're a great teacher, bro. Later that evening, as Izuku walked home, the voice of Hikage Shinomori echoed in his mind. The USJ event will test you, Midoriya, Hikage warned. But remember, you're not alone. The strength of your allies is as important as your own, notify the 8th ahead. Izuku, try to detain Tamura. Nana quickly interjected with worry. Remember your assets, Playful Cloud is a game-changer, Banjo added seriously. And your buffs. Remember them. We're rooting for you, do your best, X3. Izuku nodded to himself, his resolve hardening. I'll do my best. A figure was in the school's gym, wearing a black tank top and blue shorts. He approached the boxing gloves and wore them, a special glove made for powerful individuals, courtesy of the support department. The gym smelled of sweat and determination as Izuku was pounding away at a specialized punching bag. His hand was blurring and the specialized punching bag struggled against his mighty attacks. Izuku noticed a presence and looked to see Bakugo staring. Without hesitation, Bakugo approached. Mind if I join you? He asked casually, his eyes down and his voice meek. Izuku stared for a couple of seconds. Sweat was falling from his chin into his muscular body while heaving heavily, a sight that would have critically injured a maiden's heart. Not at all. Any preparation against that pneumo is good. The two trained side by side, their competitive spirits driving them to push harder. Over time, Izuku offered tips on form and technique. Bakugo initially bristled but gradually began to listen as he noticed the improvement in his movement. Where did he learn all of this? It is worth mentioning that Izuku kept pushing his Sharingan daily every night as he used it to learn many fighting styles via videos online. The information was burned into his mind. The side effect of this was noticeable though, as copying from the screen won't give him muscle memory, while copying a movement from a direct opponent resulted in instant replication like a pro. Don't get cocky, nerd, Bakugo muttered, throwing a punch. Izuku smiled as he easily evaded the punch, his eyes red. Don't get swept up then, mophead. Heh, just you wait and watch me surpass you. Katsuki smiled as he jumped to avoid a sweeping leg from Izuku. Good luck with that? The two trained for a while before Izuku left to the special leg press machine to press a couple of tons. It was truly fascinating how rich this school was. As a girl walked past, Bakugo's gaze lingered on her long, inky, and silky smooth hair, and for once, Uemi seemed to stop, and he seemed lost in thought. The mentioned girl was named Yulkodal. She was walking with Sincalbera. Both of them were from 1R. Bakugo stared at Yul's face as her hair fluttered while she walked, his heart throbbed, and a weird foreign sensation enveloped him. He felt like walking up to the two, shaking their hands and inviting them to train with him, a kindness he has never expressed to anyone, not even his own family. The thought surprised Bakugo himself. Her hair is beautiful. Katsuki was lost in thought. Oh, Yul. Cut your hair, it's getting long and will get in your way. Calbera spoke with irritation. Is that so? Yul touched her long smooth hair, it parted through her fingers like silk. Okay, Senkuen. Bakugo's face turned blank as the two walked off. Oh Bakugo, I didn't know you were training in. Lita's words were interrupted as Bakugo wiped his hand on him without even looking at his direction. Bakugo ignored the angry and confused sounds of Tita as he promised himself to do anything in his power to destroy the boy that was talking with that girl. At evening before dinner, Izuku strolled through the mall, looking for a snack, his earbuds snugly in place. Izuku noticed that items given from the system will return to him regardless of distance, as he lost his left earbud and found it later in his system storage. He hummed along to the music, enjoying the moment. Suddenly, he heard steps approaching him, the 20% increase in his ears taking effect. Kyoka Jiro appeared beside him while carrying multiple bags. Hey, Midoriya, she said. Her voice was casual. She had seen him today at school after all. She glanced at his earbuds. What are you listening to? Izuku handed her one earbud, and she raised an eyebrow at the playlist. Not bad. You've got a decent taste in music, upbeat and loud. How unexpected. They chatted for a while, discussing their favorite bands. Izuku felt a rare sense of ease, grateful for the light-hearted conversation, but as he remembered the looming danger, he hurriedly excused himself and left to eat and train. Ah! Kyoka extended her hand in his direction. She wished to talk some more with him, but he simply ran away. Idiot! She pouted as her brows furrowed slightly, a small blush on her face as she watched his retreating back. Back in his room, Izuku summoned Playful Cloud. He spent hours experimenting with its movements, chatting with the previous users of OFA about potential techniques. Try focusing on weak points, Daigoro suggested. You have power, you need to strike the right spot. Like his exposed brain, Nana quickly added. Or try to subdue Tamura. Without Tamura the Nomu is just a statue, Hikage suggested. Do it softly. He's just a troubled little boy. I understand, Nana-san. Izuku nodded, pushing himself harder with each attempt. After a long day of listening to boring class after another boring class, Izuku was mentally exhausted. He has studied all of this before, and while the subjects of this world's high school was different than his world and way too advanced, he aced everything due to Sharingan's use. Izuku used to hate math. It was the subject he struggled with the most because he had to figure out the question itself and give the correct answer afterwards. And now ironically the only subject he truly enjoyed is math, since his teacher, Sniper, used different numbers for each problem and didn't stick with the given text from the book. Nevertheless, Izuku also aced this due to his accelerated thinking brought by Speed 3, he answered everything with ease. The enhancing effects of Charm 2 made him look really appealing to many. He grew 2 extra centimeters, and he found many times that the girls' gaze would linger on him for a bit too long while he taught them, almost enchanted. Yet did Izuku mind? Nope, Izuku was an attention whore through and through. He loved the way Uraraka looked at him while she thought he wasn't noticing. And as such, he had been called a genius by many of his peers, so on frequent occasions he found himself tutoring them after class. It has reached such a boiling point that Katsuki, Momo, and Shoto themselves ended up joining in because according to what everyone said, he was better at explaining things than their own teachers since he was on a similar level with them, so they eventually caved in. Izuku could think so fast due to Speed 3 that a full direct answer would come before they finished their question, and on the rare occasions that he needs extra time he simply relied on Sharingan. He could cover many subjects in record time. Upon opening Sharingan for the first time, it left him confused and disoriented. Now, however, it is simply an invaluable day-to-day tool. Izuku could only take pride in this since he was called better than the teacher at the best high school in the entire world, so he kept on doing it daily. As he sat in the dining hall and discussed with Uraraka and Shinso about Lunch Rush, a pro-hero who helped in cooking a humongous meal for 10,000 survivors of a huge flood, he couldn't help but admire the food. It is said that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. A true hero is someone who helps someone, regardless of the reasons or ways of doing so, helping stop a criminal, prevent a disaster, or simply save a dumb cat from a tree. All positive help is good help. A blaring alarm interrupted Izuku's delectable meal. His eyes twitched as he knew the reason for it. Shigaraki Tamura has infiltrated the school, using the press as a distraction to decay the defense systems on the front gate and steal an itinerary about our class schedule. I guess Aoyama was unsatisfactory, so they decided to act themselves. Can't blame the guy though. The U.SJ was a surprise event, so even he didn't know. I assume that he just told them its location after he arrived. Izuku, try to catch Tamura, Nana said hurriedly. It's pointless, he must have left using warp already by now. No. Don't worry, I'll do something about that hand fetish guy. He doesn't have a hand fetish, he's an innocent 15-year-old boy. Girl, stop playing, I had a feet fetish at 14, there's nothing innocent about kids that age. You are a weird kid, Shashidto-kun. Izuku's thoughts were interrupted by the panicked students. He simply jumped high before they could reach him. The faster he did this, the faster it'll end. His eyes landed on a huge crowd of reporters. They came here to interview All Might, as Nedza declared half an hour ago that All Might started teaching in this school. A dumb move for the supposed smartest being in this world. Yorozu Momo watched as Izuku gracefully landed near her. Her expression turned from worry and panic into a hypnotized infatuation as her eyes landed on the young boy that she considered a role model. Yeah, Yorozu-san. Why, yes. Izuku, we should leave immediately. Make me a microphone. What? Just do as I say, you'll know later. Regardless of her confusion, Momo quickly created a microphone. Izuku held the microphone and considered being the one who stops the crowd, but opted to use Lita instead to avoid becoming the class president. Izuku's motto in life is that one should always avoid unnecessary work. He used float again and landed near Lita. I'll cut to the chase. A crowd of reporters bypassed the gates, and the alarms activated. Use this thing to calm them. Izuku gave the microphone to Lita. I see. Thank you, Midoriya-san. Lita's face showed surprise as he quickly absorbed the information and took a deep breath. Izuku closed his ears as this would be loud. Everyone! Calm down, it's a foul. Izuku used 20% of OFA to leave the scene and arrive at the roof of the school. It was quieter here and he calmed his irritated mood for a bit. What a mess, he munched on his food slowly as he enjoyed the breeze. He jumped down and descended slowly after noises died down. Izuku Midoriya, 12 votes. Momo Yayorozu, 4 votes. Denki Kaminari, 1 vote, same with Hantasiro. Aizawa spoke in a monotone voice. Izuku looked at Lita and Momo, who both gave him a thumb up. He looked at the rest, Shinso, Uraraka, Tsu, Kota, Sato, each showing a positive reaction upon his gaze landing on them. Even Bakugo averted his gaze slowly while Shoto simply nodded in acknowledgement. It is to be expected, Midoriya-san is very smart and resourceful. Momo spoke with admiration and amazement. Indeed, he had assessed the entire morning alarm situation in less than 30 seconds and found an instant solution. He even gave me the microphone and left the spotlight, a true selfless hero. Ilda's face simply looked at him like a worshipper. So manly. It has to be him. Kirishima spoke and Uraraka nodded with energy. You're amazing, Izuku-chan. Tsu spoke in wonder. Honestly, you're one to blame for teaching them every day. You've planted the image of a leader in them that way, Nana said as she shook her head. Izuku, I'd like to kindly remind you that you can't refuse after all of this. Hikage spoke while snickering. Boo-hoo bitch, just say you don't want to be class president, fuck them kids. Banjo's voice was exasperated. Izuku's eyes lit up directly, then his face showed a sad look as he turned to Aizawa to apologize and refuse. As if knowing his thoughts, Aizawa's eyes landed on him and activated his quirk erasure. His hair floated and red eyes peered directly at him. I'd be honored. Izuku quickly changed his expression into a happy one, his voice cheerful. Let's do our best, President. Momo's tune was excited. She couldn't wait to spend hours doing paperwork with Izuku. Why yes, let's do our best, Vice President. Izuku smiled through gritted teeth. He grinded his teeth together and a vein throbbed on his forehead. Aizawa nodded in satisfaction and began the class. Wednesday, 4:47 in the morning. All Might arrived at the beach. Izuku has told him to come here today at dawn for a bit of training. The beach was quiet, the waves moving in a stable motion, and the morning fresh air filled his one lung with energy. Izuku faced All Might in his muscular form. They moved like lightning, exchanging blows with incredible speed. Though Izuku was faster, All Might's experience and raw strength kept him on edge, and eventually he familiarized himself with danger sense. Not bad, young Midoriya, All Might said, dodging a punch that was anticipated long ago. But don't rely on speed too much, use technique, you are too predictable. Izuku had to admit, facing All Might in a hand-to-hand combat was a nightmare. He was just too sharp and everything he threw at him was predicted and countered. The man had decades of experience when it comes to fighting. Izuku's Sharingan was open throughout the entire fight. He copied everything. After a while, Izuku asked him to stop as he wasn't sure when the USJ would happen, and he wanted him to preserve his energy. Asterisk. All Might, try preserving your strength. I have a bad feeling nowadays. 777. What an ominous thing to say first thing in the morning, Midoriya boy. Please. All Might stared at his protégé's face for a while, then nodded seriously. Okay. 7:37 a.m. On his way to work, All Might intercepted a villain with trapezoidal headgear wreaking havoc in Nizudafu. Camel Woods and MT Lady had been struggling against him as he held multiple hostages in his hand, but All Might defeated the villain with a single chop before the giant could do anything. Fans and reporters swarmed him, but his time ran out, forcing him to leave hastily. He tried to heed Izuku's warning to the best of his abilities. My purse! A woman screamed as a black figure stole her purse and used his springy legs to run off with speed. All Might's trajectory changed, and he chased a thief. He apprehended him quickly and handed the purse to the young mother. The brakes are broken. I can't stop the car? All Might quickly interjected and stopped the car from hitting a pedestrian. There's an incident with a fugitive barricading himself the next town over. All Might quickly leaped high and left to help. He kept helping for almost an hour. This is his curse, his duty. All Might was the #1 hero. His presence was needed to calm the masses. No sick day, no days off, nothing. He ran and ran and ran until he couldn't run anymore. All his life, Toshinori Yagi ran, but not for himself. He ran for others, so that they could walk around safely. Yet, All Might's biggest mistake was being too reliable. He was a force of nature, a natural disaster for all villains on the land. But what will happen if he was gone? What will happen to society as we know it? Is society ready for such a day? All Might didn't want to dwell on such a topic. He jumped off, ignoring the crowd as he felt the familiar weakness, blood rushing to his throat. He landed in an alley and turned frail. He called number 13 on his way. Something happened. I won't make it to the unforeseen simulation joint training on time, he said, his tone helpless. Take care of the students and call if anything happens, he added, his voice a bit more serious. Okay, I'll handle it, a feminine voice replied cheerfully. Chapter 12. The USJ Incident, Part 1. Izuku sat in his class, bored as usual. His boredom was interrupted by Aizawa's entry. Morning, today's foundational skill of heroics is a practical test. You'll need to do rescue operations at the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ. Izuku's lazy posture was immediately straightened. He ignored the excited chatter around him. You have the liberty to wear your hero costumes or your gym costumes. Your hero suits might not be fit for this exercise after all. Izuku decided to go with the gym costume. His hero costume was built by his mother, but although it has all the love in this world, it couldn't take 100% of his power. Well, not like the gym costumes can take it either, or any costume for that matter. But the gym costumes are better on durability overall. Plus, Izuku does not wish to destroy his hero costume that his mother worked so hard to make. That's all. Go get prepared and meet me near the school's gate. We'll take the bus. Izuku quickly changed his clothes into a gym outfit. He decided to wear heavy thick white gloves to protect his hand from damage. He'll punch hard today after all. Izuku, are you ready? Hikage said softly. No. I'm not ready to face death. This is too much stress, but I knew what I was getting into when I clung to All Might that day. Izuku, don't worry, you're more than ready, plus, you've informed the 8th about this ahead of time, so don't worry, Banjo spoke confidently. You're right, I'll manage, especially when I have this bad boy here. Izuku looked at Playful Cloud in his system's inventory. I believe in you, kid. Just try to keep everyone alive. If the original Izuku managed to do that, then it's a piece of cake for you. Nana's voice was optimistic. That Izuku had plot, luck, and the power of bullshit on his hand. We both know how unlucky I'm. Izuku's voice was calm but laced with helplessness. Just expect the worst and do your best. Hikage said wisely. Izuku nodded. He wore everything and exited to the bus with Uraraka, Sui, Jiru, Momo, Ashido, Shinso, Siro, Kairish. Is it only me or am I too popular? You're the leader now. They will listen and wait for you. Use this to your advantage today. Hikage eyed the students critically. Look at all those girls, Izuku. They are looking at you with obvious signals. Nana's voice was playful. Izuku decided to ignore that. He walked and chatted cheerfully with his classmates until he reached the bus. All right, Midoriya, you're the class president. Handle the seating arrangement. You're responsible for the class. No fighting on the way or you're expelled. Aizawa's voice was calm. He eyed the defeated Izuku and hid his sadistic smirk under his scarf. Midoriya-san, what will the seating arrangement be like? Ida asked seriously. Dude, we're not kids. Just sit wherever you want. It's a 30 minutes ride. In that case, I want to sit near you, Izuku Uraraka said with determination. No, I wanted that first, Shashidto hurriedly said. Girls, please, order here, as students of the most prestigious institution in TH. As vice president, I should be sitting near the president, just in case anything happens, Yoroza solved confidently. You guys are too loud. Midoriya-san prefers quiet people like me, right? Class president? Jiro solled and eyed Izuku coquettishly. In that case I'll sit near him. I'm invisible and won't make a single sound. He won't notice a thing. Toru's voice was hesitant but determined. The girls looked at each other, sparks flying between them as they smiled kindly. Izuku was left speechless. Izuku-chan, which one do you prefer? Asel quickly interrupted. Shinso, let's sit together, he said with a straight face. Oh, okay. Shinso was a little happy that Izuku chose him, but he couldn't help but feel a shiver as the girls glared daggers at his back. The rest of you sit wherever. Izuku's tone was final. The girls begrudgingly sat down, doing their best not to sit near each other. The bus started and the class left the school zone and headed to the USJ zone. Say, Midoriya, now that I think about it, your quirk is just like All Might's, Sui said casually to break the uncomfortable silence. Oh? Is that so? My quirk is not pure strength enhancement though. The entire class turned to look at Izuku, their gazes curious. Even Aizawa discreetly listened. Bakugo didn't care much. He knew Izuku had weird glowing red eyes. Is that so? Care to share? Shinso's tone was casual but had great curiosity. Maybe someday, not now though. I like to keep it as a trump card in case I have to combat any of you. Izuku spoke with a smirk as he noticed Aizawa's annoyed expression. You're on, Midoriya. Kirishima hardened his hands and smirked confidently. Izuku grew tense as they reached the facility. Aizawa stood at the entrance, looking as disheveled as ever, while the Pro Hero 13 greeted them with a welcoming wave. Where's he? Izuku looked around for All Might. The sight of the enormous dome-like structure made some students gasp. Inside, the facility simulated multiple disaster scenarios, from floods to fires and everything in between. Welcome to the unforeseen simulation joint. This is where heroes learn to handle rescue operations in every imaginable situation. But remember, she added, her tone growing serious, rescue is just as important as combat. Heroes save lives, not just defeat villains. Izuku's focus sharpened as he glanced at the sprawling facility. He remembered what was coming, and his heart tightened. This wasn't just a training session, it was the start of a life-and-death situation. Where is the 8th? This isn't right, Hikage said grimly. Shit. Izuku began to panic. His phone had no signal and couldn't call All Might. Calm down, kid. You're freaking out, Nana quickly interjected and stopped his spiraling thoughts. Izuku, are you okay? You don't look good? Uraraka's face showed surprise and worry. Why yeah, I'm great! As 13 explained the different zones, the air suddenly grew heavy and Izuku's danger sense flared. Sensal, is that part of the training? Sui said curiously. Izuku inhaled sharply. He turned to where she pointed. A black mist began to swirl at the center of the facility. The mist expanded, revealing a huge portal. Through it, figures emerged, dozens of villains, each armed and dangerous. At the forefront stood a man with discolored hands covering his body, his face obscured by a hand mask, Tamura Shigaraki. Beside him was a hulking creature with an exposed brain, the Nomu. No, it's not part of the training. 13. Protect the students, everyone, this is not a drill. He stepped forward, his scarf floating and eyes glowing red. Izuku, wake the fuck up. Banjo's roar awakened Izuku from his stupor. Izuku was mentally unprepared. The pressure of their killing aura froze him. He simply wasn't used to such situations. He never faced something like this. Izuku stepped forward, his heart beating loudly. He was scared, terrified even, but he simply had one mission. Main quest, survive the USJ incident. Side quest, fight the Nomu and win. Protect everyone, even the teachers. Izuku ignored the system. This isn't the time for this. This is a life and death situation. What reward? What fight? Could I use any of this if I die? As the portal fully formed, more villains poured out, each looking more menacing than the last. Tamura Shigaraki scratched at his neck with a hand that seemed unnaturally calm for the chaos he was orchestrating. His raspy voice cut through the tension. Where's All Might? He's supposed to be here. His eyes scanned the students, narrowing in disinterest. Guess we'll just have to play with those little NPCs instead. He smirked wickedly. Stay together. Aizawa barked, pulling his goggles over his eyes. 13, get them out of here. Just when it reached a boiling point. Dum 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 dum. King engine activated. An insane pressure from Izuku was emitted. It froze everyone, heroes and villains alike. This. Aizawa's eyes widened as he felt the overwhelming pressure behind him. He slowly turned to see his student, Izuku Midoriya, walking forward with a calm face. Dum 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 dum. The entire class stayed still. Bakugo, Shoto, Ida, Shinso and everyone else froze like a statue. They felt like prey and the slightest movement will lead to their death. Like a rabbit inside the open mouth of a lion. Some girls had their teeth chattering. They were so terrified that tears began to fall from their eyes. King Engine, while having the same ability as King, was dubbed the level of immensely by the system. The system categorized abilities on 3 levels: slightly, moderately, and immensely. King Engine has been boosted by the system immensely. Izuku's mind raced. He walked forward and used the distracted atmosphere to his advantage. He walked away from his class and stood near Aiza. Izuku looked at the villains and aimed King Engine's full effect on them. Dum 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 dum. Dumb! Dumb! Am I dumb? The moment King Engine activated, the villain stood still like a rat in the hand of a cat. Now, however, they felt like a helpless lambkin facing a dangerous wild lion. Leak? One shrieking was all it takes as all the villains followed after him. They scattered in fear and terror. Death. They felt it. Death was looking at them, and in the face of death, all of them ran desperately like a headless chicken. Izuku watched, impressed with the power of King Engine. The 10% boost made him calmer. Aiza felt the pressure decrease and he immediately spoke sternly. Midoriya, as your teacher one forbid you from fighting. Sorry Aiza-sensei, I refuse. Izuku's voice was eerily calm. I need you to protect the students and retreat with them. This is an order. No. Real expel you. Aizawa's voice was dangerous. And? I won't stop me from being a hero. Illinois apply to Shashidto High School next year. I refuse to stand idly while you get killed. You're someone I want to protect. I don't need your protection. Take the students and run immediately. Aiza looked at him with red eyes, using erasure in hopes of discouraging him. I refuse. Izuku stood his ground. He felt OFA disappear momentarily. Izuku felt a rush of rage and directed King Engine's full might on Aiza. Dum 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 doomy. Aiza felt a staggering weight on his eyelids. He slowly was forced to close his eyes. Feeling the pressure decrease, Tamura Shigaraki roared angrily. Get back here, you useless bastards. He's a mere student, yet you ran like a pack of headless chickens. What do you think we paid you for? I know where your families live. The majority returned to his side slowly. Although he said that to them, he himself felt that pressure the most. It was so intense that he couldn't open his mouth. But he was different. He had no mo on him. Tamura Shigaraki believed that the green student had a mental pressure quirk. Luckily, the Nomu was an empty husk and didn't feel fear. Nomu, kill that green bastard? He spat out. The Nomu's eyes glinted as it received the order. It dashed at Izuku like a feral beast. Feeling his danger sense flaring, Izuku immediately activated Sharingan to think faster. Midu! Izuku heard the slow scream of Aiza beside him as the man tried to shield him with his body. The Nomu was approaching, fast. Izuku thought of dodging but decided not to since it will damage the students behind him and most likely kill Aiza. With that in mind, Izuku dashed forward to clash with the anti-All Might Nomu bravely. He was so fast that his speed surpassed the Nomu. Playful cloud appeared in his hand. He turned the staff into 3 sections connected by chains with practiced ease. Ofa 4096. The Nomu punched towards Izuku's head with its full might. Mighty impact. The extended edge hit the Nomu's chest like a freight train. It created a powerful sound bomb that sent a shockwave of condensed air into everyone in no time. People got turned and blown away like leaves in a raging storm. The Nomu got knocked back very fast. It hit the ground and kept on skidding back against the ground harshly. Its body caved from the area where it got hit and its spine shattered. The students looked in shock. Izuku's right sleeve was destroyed. In his muscular hand he held a weapon they haven't seen before. His eyes were crimson red with wild crackling sounds of electricity around him as green sparks flew out. They watched as Izuku turned to the villains. The villains visibly tensed and flinched. Dum 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 dum. Dum! 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 Bring it on, you bastards. Izuku's expression was absolutely feral. He looked at them with so much malice, coupled with King Engine, some directly wet themselves. That's the end of this tale for now. Make sure to check out the Discord linked in the description and I'll see you in part 2. Peace.